To the last round of the National Venture Plan competition. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate everybody's time and valuable time. This has been a really great experience for everyone, as I've been hearing, for the entrepreneurs and also for the investors and the sponsors. We truly appreciate everyone's time and contribution. I'm going to let our president from the Orange County Tech Coast Angels kind of moderate. I will do the transition between the presenters, but David Friedman, Dr. David Friedman, is going to take it over, and he's going to moderate the questions and also introduce the sponsors for us today. Thanks, David.
Hey, first of all, appreciate everybody attending this and participating. I know I've gotten a lot out of the discussions, listening to all these deals. We've gotten several through TCA, and we'll make a special, probably do a special screening for the top maybe 4 to 5 companies that come out of the Pismo Venture competition. So it's been great from my perspective. And I just want to introduce, or let the sponsors introduce themselves, their company, because I think, as we know, these things cost money to put on. JJ incurred the expense, and he has the sponsors trying to support his program, and he's done a great job, so my compliments to JJ. But now I want to give a few people who are our sponsors the opportunity to say a few words. We'll start with Mark Skeist. Mark?
Yeah, hey, thank you, David, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mark Skeist. I'm with Straddling Law. I'm a corporate attorney who represents business owners and entrepreneurs and do quite a bit with startups, and I recognize a lot of folks on the panel here who I've done business with over the years, so great to be part of it. Thank you, JJ.
Perfect. We'll then go to Phil Schroeder. Phil?
Yeah, thanks, David. Hi, everybody. First want to thank JJ and Pismo and the whole team there for putting on such a great event. I'm Phil Schroeder. I'm with the Buckhalter Law Firm. We're a full-service law firm with a regional footprint in the Western U.S. here. Personally, I'm a corporate attorney, so I do a lot of financing transactions, mergers and acquisitions, working with a lot of earlier stage companies up to lower middle market companies.
Well, appreciate that. Damian Howard.
Yeah, thank you, David, and thank
Hello.
you, JJ, for putting this together. So I'm a patent attorney at Kenobi Martins. We're a full-service intellectual property firm. We're nationwide, offices all up and down both the East and West Coasts. We specialize in any type of IP you can imagine, from patents, trademarks, IP litigation, licensing. I personally work on the patent side. I help clients in the electrical engineering and software spaces, medical devices, consumer electronics, obtain patents for their inventions.
And last but not least, we have another attorney. Wow, what a surprise, 4 out of 4, just as a thought. So if you ever need an attorney, you have one of these 4 to choose from. It's great. Ken August.
Hi, thank you, David. It's nice to be part of the minion of attorneys. So I'm Ken August from August Law Group, and we are a boutique corporate transactions firm. We work with startups to middle market in mergers and acquisitions. We do a lot of securities work, and we have a particular expertise in cross-border transactions. So companies that are looking to license technology or work a transaction to develop new markets overseas. It's great to be here. And I echo the kudos to JJ and the team.
Yeah, so I echo the kudos to all the sponsors. Thank you very much. And all those online for your companies, your portfolio companies, or for your startups, please consider and use these services via these sponsors. They're excellent. We vetted them out. We've used them. Some are sponsors of TCA as well. Anyway, I'm going to now turn it over to JJ for the introductions. I feel like Ed McMahon to Johnny Carson here, playing the Ed McMahon guy. JJ, take it away.
JJ, I just wanted to wave my hand. My camera's down, but I sneaked in at the end there.
Yeah, no problem. Are you, let's see. Oh yeah, you're fine. I just want to say, is there anyone on the attendee side that is an investor? I don't see it right now, but if you are an investor on the attendee side or a judge, please raise your hand so I can move you over. I'm usually looking through that, but I don't see anyone yet. If for the judges, please make sure that you have f6s.com open on your computer so that you're able to evaluate the companies. If you received the email from me yesterday around 4 or so, there is a link for each of the companies that we have in the they'll present in the order that I have them in the email from 1 to 5. If you have f6s.com open in your browser, you can click the link in the email, but also Stephen has put the link into the browser right now, into the chat, I should say, right now, so you can click on it in the chat as well to be able to evaluate. Again, thank you for being here. We will get started with Haley, and Haley is with Passion Footwear. Haley, whenever you're ready, unmute and share your screen.
Awesome, sounds good. Oh, it says screen sharing is disabled.
I just enabled it.
Okay, try.
I was laid behind. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Catherine.
All right, hopefully everyone can see my pitch deck.
Moving forward.
Quick tech check. Yeah.
Yes.
I
Great.
sent over to Justin to please get the NDA signed so I can get.
Is someone's mic on?
Somebody, if you're not on mute, please mute yourself. We'll let you unmute after the presentation.
Well,
Steve,
there
you'll
was
take
nothing
the
to be
time, give her a
confused
2-minute
about.
warning.
The host can mute him. It's Ken Hubbard.
No.
Sorry to call him out.
Just call me up because I sent out the group.
David, you're not on mute.
I sent out to that
I will
group.
mute him.
You know,
I will mute him. Give me 1 second. It's Ken. Hold on.
Actually, I wanted to hear the rest of Ken's conversation.
I know. I kind of wanted to see where that was going to go.
We'll invest in that, or maybe there's a good, stock tip. Who knows?
All right.
Awesome. Should I dive in? Ready to rock and roll?
Yeah, please do.
Great. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Haley Pavoni, and I'm the CEO and founder at Passion Footwear. We are a majorly disruptive, by women, for women fashion tech company that is completely revolutionizing the women's footwear market. Now, as we all know, high heels have been a staple element of the women's fashion industry for decades. At any given party, business meeting, or even just walking down the street, the odds are high that a large amount of the women present will be wearing high heels. But what's interesting to us at Passion is that 71% of women say that wearing high heels hurts their feet. Now, isn't it a little bit ridiculous that in this modern day and age, women have to subject themselves to something painful for the sake of looking good? As of right now, the solutions to this overwhelming pain problem are incredibly subpar. Women either suffer through the pain, go barefoot, or carry around backup shoes. Here at Passion, we believe that women shouldn't have to sacrifice comfort for fashion any longer, and it is this belief that led us to creating the world's first fully convertible heels. Women can finally leave the house in their heels with the peace of mind of knowing that should they encounter any pain, difficult terrain, or maybe just a burning desire to torch their heels off of their feet, they have the ability to easily transform their heel into a comfortable flat in a matter of seconds. Now, our 2 shoes in 1 convertible tech consists of 3 main parts. We have the flexible sole, the detachable high heel, and the sole support insert. We have developed the shoe parts to interlock in a way that securely fastens the high heel into the sole, preventing any accidental shoe transformations. And we've designed our locking system to be incredibly intuitive and easy to use. The materials we've used to make this possible also provide substantially more comfort and cushion than any heel on the market, and we are utility patent pending on this design in 30 countries. One of the best things about our tech is that since it only affects the sole and heel elements of the shoe, we can easily apply it to any kind of high-heeled footwear, which greatly expands our market size. Moving forward, we see Passion becoming a full-fledged shoe company, releasing annual fall and spring lines of high-heeled boots, booties, sandals, pumps, and so on. Truly, the expansion is limitless. We know this will be an incredibly profitable venture, with the women's US footwear market alone hitting $44 billion and the 2020 global market at $165 billion. To provide a more specific example of how big this can get, popular footwear brand Steve Madden, which has the same quality, target customers, price point, and actually even factories as us, reached a market cap of $3.5 billion in 2019. Now, when it comes to target customers, our product has a very broad potential reach. This tech is appealing to any woman who wears high heels and finds them uncomfortable or inconvenient. So as you can imagine, that is a large portion of women. We've seen customers as young as early teens and as old as 78 across a variety of backgrounds, geographies, and demographics. We are starting with 3 main digital targets: businesswomen who wear high heels to work and lug around backup shoes for their commute, working mothers who bust out heels for special occasions but feel too limited by them in daily life, and college women who love to wear heels out for the night but end up walking home barefoot. We also have 2 more targeted sales channels launching in 2021, COVID pending, targeting the demographics of brides and bridal parties and also flight attendants. Now, we know that we are solving a prevalent pain point for women in all these markets and beyond. With a 4.1 out of 5 average star rating and 76% of our reviews landing in the 4 to 5 star range, our early adopters are quickly becoming loyal Passionistas. We are already seeing customers coming back for their 2nd, 3rd, and even 4th pairs, and rising demand for more styles, colors, materials, and heel kit upsells. Once a woman is sold on our convertible heel tech, she will be a Passionista for life, and that's part of why the patent is such a strong asset to this business. We're really the only game in town for this. Now, one of the questions we get most frequently asked is, has this been done before? To answer that, shoes in this realm have been attempted before, but never executed in a way that perfectly solves the problem. Most removable heel tech on the market has been interchangeable in nature, so you can swap a 4-inch red stiletto for a 4-inch blue block, but that is really providing the value proposition of multiple high heel looks on one sole. Our unique convertible tech provides a much more compelling value of pain and inconvenience alleviation, as well as truly 2 different shoe functions for the price of one. Our tech is also uniquely discreet and minimally disruptive to the appearance of the shoe, providing a much more attractive solution. After all, women do buy high heels and deal with the discomfort in order to achieve a certain look, and other companies that fail to blend in among standard high heels aren't nearly as compelling to the consumer. Speaking of standard high heels, the big established brands are truly who we see ourselves competing with. Our main competitive challenge is convincing women that have bought from, say, Steve Madden since they were 16 to try out this crazy new take on a high heel that they've never seen before. Although there is an initial education phase and learning curve with this product, no one is used to shoes coming with directions. Our lack of a comfort to style trade-off paired with our extremely competitive price for value positions us well to massively disrupt the established brands. And the disruption is already beginning. We launched the brand on June 24th of 2019, and in the year and a half since, we've already begun to grow rapidly, starting to hit the 1.14 million run rate range in the last quarter and seeing 5x growth this year in spite of the pandemic. Our marketing stats have optimized rapidly due to the uniquely captivating nature of our content, earning us 2.2 million web hits in record time. But the figure we are perhaps most excited about is the fact that in spite of having very minimal new releases since launch, we are already averaging a 19% returning customer rate monthly, even getting up into the 30% range in months where we do drop new products. This indicates again that the lifetime value of our Passionistas is very high, and with that utility patent exclusivity, we can continue to recapture customers with new seasonal designs and upsells for years to come. Now, our main focus this year has been to build brand and tech awareness, a considerable effort as we are truly creating an entirely new category of footwear. With the initial traction we've seen, we are forecasting closing out the year at $1 million in gross sales, our first million. We're very excited. We have big plans going into 21, including launching those targeted wedding and airline channels, continuing to release new products to further expand our brand appeal, and also launching a full footwear customization platform, allowing women to build their dream heel on our site. The custom model has been massively trending in the D2C space and has seen great success in athleisure footwear, but we will be the first in the US to bring customization into women's high heels. Another item of note in 21 is that we will launch a new version of our mechanism, reducing the amount of metal in the product and cutting our COGS down by 20%. For this reason, we are forecasting hitting monthly profitability in Q3 of 21, and we will then reach annual profitability in 22 with further awareness, expansion, and launching optimized international fulfillment, allowing us to bring convertible heel tech to the global market. Last but certainly not least, the Passion team is armed and ready for success. I'm backed by a seasoned fashion e-commerce COO, a skilled VP of marketing whose in-depth understanding of our target customer is reflected by how quickly we've been able to achieve the industry-leading funnel KPIs we see today. And we also are backed by a professional footwear development team with years of experience creating innovative new products for big names like Nike, Adidas, Ariat, and Keen. Thank you all so much, and I'd love to open up the floor to any questions.
All right, if you have questions, if you want to enter them in the chat box, or if you want to raise your hand on the participant panel, we can start from there. All right, let's see what we got. We got, let's go to Minda, Tony, and then Catherine. Minda? And we have 12 minutes of Q&A. So if you have a question, ask one question only at a time so we can get everybody participating.
Great. I'd like to know a little bit more about your supply chain. Are you doing things where you have a diversity of manufacturers? Are you manufacturing in the US? And how much inventory risk are you taking on at any given time?
Yes, so we are manufacturing in China right now. We do have a couple different suppliers that we work with because of the complex nature of the product and also for the sake of protecting the IP. So obviously we have a mold shop that we work with. They're the most hands-on with the IP, actually creating the production molds and tooling for this product. We then have injection suppliers that are working on the bottom components of the shoe that are obviously injection molded. And then we have the upper supplier that is actually doing the craftsmanship of stitching the leathers, attaching them to the midsole, et cetera, et cetera. So that's kind of the rough flow of the supply chain. Another reason, again, why we did it that way is no one has a full understanding of how the shoes look or how they're completely made. So it's an IP stance as well. As far as inventory liability, we have not gone too heavy. We've mostly done very targeted drops. Our biggest shipment so far has been about 3,000 units. And we're really kind of testing our way into the market. Something that we're doing is really bulking up on core basics. So a value proposition of the company is we really want to be everyday footwear that you can wear to anything, right? Like the whole value of a heel and a flat in one is that you can wear it to a variety of different events. And so we want to, really push that kind of lifestyle onto our customer. So the only inventory we're going deep on is the cores of, blacks, browns, grays, and nudes. So we can continue to push those onto new customers. And then we go lighter on the seasonal pop colors to capture that repeat business.
All right, Haley, if you can make the answers a little tighter, because there's a lot of good questions coming in, I think. Sure. Tony, and then Catherine, then I'll go online to get a few questions. Tony?
David, my question's answered. Thank you.
Great.
All right. I thought you were going to play Jeopardy for a second. Here's the answer. Go figure out the question. All right. Catherine?
Haley, hi. You already are talking about customization and going after particular vertical silos. It feels still very much like a niche product today and probably in the foreseeable year or so. Can you tell us what it would take for your company to truly cross the chasm? What do you have to actually do or accomplish? What are the milestones that will tell you that you have crossed that chasm?
Absolutely. So to that point, as I was discussing earlier, our main challenge as a new company is we're not just creating, a new brand in the already crowded footwear space, but we're really creating a new category of footwear. To your point, taking this mass market to me would mean that people across the globe are familiar with what a convertible heel is. Our biggest challenge right now is, as you can guess, Before we launched this brand, convertible heel was searched on Google globally, probably about 200 times a month. So that's really how we're measuring our ability to mass access this market, is when we start seeing people actually looking for convertible heels, then there is awareness that this is an option for the consumer. And that's when we can really start to expand, is once the market has accepted this is a segment that exists.
And what tells you convertible heel as a concept will be accepted? Or what's the number of searches that you're looking for?
The number of searches?
Well, I
you know,
mean, you offer that as a metric, so I'm trying to figure out what indications you will have and what you're tracking.
Sure. I'd like to see that in the hundreds of thousands is where we'd like to get it. Obviously, I think, you know, we would like that number to get as big as humanly possible, and just keep growing and keep seeing those numbers rise.
All right, I'm going to go online, a couple of related questions. In general, how safe are these heels? What substance is the heel made out of, and how durable?
Sure. So as far as safety, we have gone through rigorous biomechanical testing at one of the premier footwear biomechanical testing firms in the country, Heellux, located in Santa Barbara. We passed all of the tests with flying colors. We've actually proven it's harder to accidentally get the heel to twist off while you're walking than it is for a regular stiletto to just break while you're wearing it. Part of that is because of the materials that we use. Most high heels are just made of compressed wood fiber, so they don't have super great strength. We're using industrial grade ABS, injection nylons, those more heavy duty materials that also are a lot more durable and better for long-term wear. We've proven you can wear the shoes for over 2 years on a daily basis without significant wear or breakdown to the mechanism.
Okay, I'm going to go to Damien, Jeff, then Max, and then I'll go back online. Damien?
Yeah, thanks, David. Great presentation, Haley. I have a few kind of all related questions. You mentioned your utility patent, and you've also mentioned that you're releasing some improvements next year. I think you said 20% reduction in materials. So I was wondering if that patent has actually issued into a patent, given the competitors or prior designs you mentioned, and if you've been filing on your improvements, and also if you've been trying to protect your other IP, such as the trademarks of your name and the design patents for your designs.
Yes, so our trademarks are all filed and they are issued in the US, which is great. The patents are still pending. To your point about future technology or the improvements, our improvements actually fall under the scope of our patent. One of the best things about our IP is that no one has ever had a removable sole support before. Like, we have scrounged every database and never been able to find anything conflicting. We have raised money before, been through rounds of independent due diligence, and no one's been able to find anything like this internationally. So speaking to the improvements that are being made, because this is so unique and novel, our patent is around the concept of a removable sole support that when inserted creates a high heel and when removed creates a flat. As you can imagine, from a mechanical perspective, it's virtually impossible to create a heel that goes to a flat without some kind of structure that can be embedded and removed. So our improvements still fall under the scope of the current application, and we're very confident in full approval.
And let me just follow on quickly. Do you think this utility patent will create a moat, or where's your real moat in your business?
Create a moat, excuse me?
A moat, yeah. How are you defensible? How are we going to be a defensible product?
Yes, that will create the moat. So again, we will be the exclusive provider of convertible high heels to flats. Because we own that concept of removable arch support, it is impossible to mechanically duplicate the functionality in a safe way without having some form of a removable sole support structure, which is what our patent will cover. So that is inherently the moat.
Even against Chinese manufacturers?
Yes, we are patent pending in China. That's one of the countries we're looking at.
I'm going to go to Jeff, Max, and then Barbara. Jeff?
Thanks, Haley. I'm interested to know on the customer reviews that were 1 to 3 stars, what you learned from those and whether that led you to sort of sharpening your target market or changing the product and the offering.
Yes, that's a big part of, we've obviously taken customer feedback into consideration for this retool that we're working on. The #1 reason for a sub 3-star review is actually fit issues. So as you can imagine, something else unique about the company is we are one of the first, or the first company ever to try to create a shoe fit that works as both a high heel and a flat. It's a very unique challenge. So basically the way that things have worked out is the shoe is a little too long and a little too narrow. So we've had a lot of issues with consumers with wider feet don't fit the shoes very well. So we've taken that feedback into consideration, and we are making fit adjustments to our midsole as part of that retool coming out next year as well.
All right, now we're going to go to the other Jeff, Jeff Koenig. Sorry about that.
No worries. Thanks, Haley. So you're in retail now. Right now, you're doing OEM, importing, distribution, brand ownership, and retail. And
we're just D2C, to clarify.
And so as you scale up, it's hard for companies to be excellent at all of those things. So what is your scale up strategy? Are you going to stay in the specialty marketplace and go through specialty shoe stores? Are you going to try to omni-channel and maintain ownership of all of it? Are you going to go into the mass market shoe stores? What are you going to do?
So again, to clarify, we're not in retail, we're direct to consumer only, and that is our growth plan, is to stay direct to consumer. We're not super interested in wholesale.
All right, we're going to be in the we have less than 2 minutes left. So these very quick answers, very quick questions. Max and then Barbara.
So you're raising $2 million on a $10 million pre.
Yes.
How much do you have committed already or in? And then also talk briefly about the exit, please.
Yeah, so this is actually me just starting to pitch this round. We're actually targeting to open the round in January. We do have a lead, a VC firm based out of Chicago that's interested, but we are not formally starting the round yet, but we will be kicking it off in January. So that's kind of the plan there. And then as far as the exit strategy, I definitely see this as an acquisition play. Again, kind of going back to the patent, it's extremely rare for footwear brands to have protectable and defensible utility IP. As you can imagine, all these high heel brands are just duking it out over who has the better colors and the styles each season. To actually have utility protection is exceptionally rare for the space and the main core of our value. So if I had to guess, we will get acquired as soon as we start gaining substantial market share by a larger brand like a Steve Madden type that would like to integrate this tech into the footwear.
All right, can you repeat the deal structure again? And then I want to go to Barbara, and she may have one of the last two questions. What's the deal, Haley?
I'm sorry?
Can you repeat the deal?
Yes, we are going to be opening a $2 million Series Seed Prime in January at a $10 million valuation, pre-money.
Okay, great. Barbara?
Haley, you should be congratulating. Your SEO is outstanding. It looks like there are no competitors in the field when you go to Google. So on that note, so you're out there alone. We're sitting in an environment where we've been in COVID for 9 months and for the foreseeable future. If women don't return to the workforce in the numbers that they have in the past, and they're working remotely for 6, 12, 24 ad infinitum months, how does that affect your model? And right, you're doing $1 million this year. Tell us about the future.
So one of the main strengths of our business, as I mentioned before, it's both a strength and a challenge, is our target customer demographic is extremely wide and the use cases are pretty much infinite. People are interested in this tech for any time they're wearing high heels and they find them uncomfortable. So yes, work is a major use case, and yes, remote work might become more dominant, but weddings aren't going away, girls' night out's not going away, date night, trips to Vegas, travel. There's so many use cases that we are heavily diversified and we're not worried about, COVID taking us out. It would obviously be unfortunate to lose the workwear market. We can very easily pivot and put a heavier focus on any of those other channels.
All right, Hilton, you'll have the last quick question. Then we're going to go, and then all of you can start pulling out your F6S and vote. Hilton, last question.
Okay, Haley, thanks again. And I got 2 quick questions. How long does it take to change the shoe from one state to another? And how do you carry the parts with you in general?
Sure. So as far as changing it, I'll be fair, I'm kind of a pro, so is that? I don't know. I'm a little faster than most. Most of our customers say it takes about 3 tries to get the hang of it, and then it's more or less muscle memory. Just put it back together. And then as far as carrying them around, each of our shoes comes with a little drawstring bag. I don't have one on me right now, but it can hold all of the heels, the sole support, the little flat caps that go on for protection. And then you can just chuck it in a purse, give it to your boyfriend, really whatever tickles your fancy.
All right. Great job, Haley. JJ, any comments before we go?
We have a couple of minutes left because Haley finished early. So we are going to use the couple of minutes for feedback. So Haley, this is only feedback, no response from you required. Anyone with feedback, raise your hand or you can get started.
Sure, I have some feedback.
Go ahead.
Okay, Haley, seems to me, one is I think you have probably a higher cost of goods than a conventional shoe. Yet you have to compete on price to some extent. And in order to give yourself the room to do that, to not compete on price and have the same margins, you're going to have to educate the public or your market on, you know, the advantages of your shoe.
Definitely.
I guess the question is whether you have enough marketing cost in your budget to do that education, because unless you get that education through, people are not necessarily going to want to pay extra for your shoe.
So
no comment, no question. This is just a feedback.
It's just a little feedback. You know, there wasn't any discussion of, you know, of exactly how you scaled your marketing budget to address how you're going to educate people, and that might be helpful to do, you know, just to bring some specific attention to that.
Thanks, Howard. Pat, then Gerard, then that's it for feedback.
I probably own like 50 pair of shoes, so I checked out your website thoroughly. So my feedback is, well, I was wondering if you were licensed with name brand, because the design seemed very functional and practical. But if I'm gonna switch my shoes and I'm going to a nice event, maybe I'm looking for something fancier, you know, like these fashion-wise, and then I felt like yours was more practical. So that's just my feedback. You know, like I had to pull hard to go, okay, would I wear this one? Would I wear this one even though my feet hurts? You know, there's a reason people wear shoes even though they hurt, because they look really good. So that's just my feedback, my 5 cents.
Thank you, Pat. Gerard, you have the last comment.
Hey, given the competition in the marketplace and the difficulty that angel investors will have to really dive into your IP, I strongly encourage you to scale down your pre-money valuation.
This is Max.
Not asking for a lot of money, but you should get
I'm good, Amit. How are you?
Max, go on mute, Max.
Phone is fine if that works for you.
All right, hold on. Let me find him.
Good.
Yeah, one of the other comments
are you out here on the West Coast? Are you in Boston?
All right. Well,
comments is this may be a good Shark Tank type of a product.
I'm muting him. I just muted him. All right. So we are going. Thank you, Haley, very much. A great presentation. Please take the feedback and improve on your presentation. And we're going to take next Jules with Secure Block Tech. Jules, I already moved you in, so please go ahead and share your screen. While Jules is sharing his screen, please evaluate Haley with Passion Footwear if you have not done so yet.
Thanks, JJ. Can you hear me and see my screen?
Yes, we can.
All right, fantastic. Let me know when you want me to start.
Yes, again, if you have not evaluated Passion Footwear, please do so. The chat has the link. You can click on that, and then we will put the link next for Secure Block Technologies. Go ahead, Jules.
Great. Hello, everyone. Thank you for the time. It's great to see some familiar faces, and I'm looking forward to meeting those of you that I haven't met yet. My name is Jules Hilliard, and I'm the founder and CEO of Secure Block Technologies. Our technology stack provides next-generation monitoring and analytics for the next-generation internet. Our platform is built on blockchain for blockchain, the first of its kind. The internet changed the world, and blockchain is changing the internet, not just Bitcoin. We're also talking about the future of applications for enterprise companies. Distributed ledger pioneer Blythe Master said, blockchain is as significant now as the internet was 25 years ago. Billions of dollars are being spent on the development of blockchain technology. By 2030, the market value is being estimated at $3 trillion by Gartner and $2 trillion by IHS Markit. The decentralized application market, or dApps as they are called, have more than doubled between 2018 and 2019 for both transaction volume and number of users. Just like with Internet 1.0 and with all emerging technologies, blockchain has challenges. Can blockchain perform at scale? How do you measure success in such a new technology? Is blockchain's built-in functionality enough? Our essential and innovative technology stack solves these problems and much more. Our technology provides blockchain-specific performance monitoring, real-time and scheduled metrics, KPIs, and analytics, sophisticated alerts, reporting, and validation tools. We solve these problems with our proprietary Blockchain Operations Center. Our platform leverages the built-in functionality of blockchain technology to provide verifiable end-to-end transparency and validation, multiple blockchain and dApp support from a single pane of glass, customizable dashboards, and many more critical features. After a demo, Malcolm Harkins, CISO of Cymatic, said, "Your technology platform is the first that I've reviewed that can truly impact the adoption process of blockchains and decentralized applications." We take it one step further, however. Our supernodes are deployed on-chain. Being inside the chain architecture itself gives us a unique and proprietary intelligence. Although our v.1 supernode is passive, our v.2 will be active in a chain administrator node. In addition to monitoring and analytics, our v.2 supernodes have a long roadmap of innovative microservices designed to manage and optimize blockchains. Our supernodes are monitored and managed from our Blockchain Operations Center. Much like a switch, a router, a firewall, every company that adopts blockchain will need one or more supernodes per chain and dApp. Now, I know this is a lot of tech, so for you techies, you can learn more in our white paper at secureblocktech.com. Every single company that adopts blockchain and decentralized applications needs monitoring and analytics. In the enterprise blockchain world, fintech is leading the charge, and adoption and supply chain is gaining momentum. Today, however, crypto mining farms are growing in both size and scope. Blockchain tech vendors are exploding onto the market, and blockchain developers are the most highly sought after developers in tech. We have evolved use cases with each of these verticals, and the list is growing quickly. Frontier technology has stated, blockchain starts to become mainstream for data management and security, and monitoring and analytics are crucial for both data management and security. Let's dig in on a couple use cases to clear this up a little bit. End-to-end transaction validation is critical for banks. Today, banks have very complicated global networks and complex application architectures. However, in order for a bank to compete in the future, they're going to need to utilize multiple blockchains, platforms, exchanges, and dApps. Our Blockchain Operations Center provides the essential functionality for monitoring, analytics, and validation, needing to assure the bank's current IT infrastructure and applications are communicating and performing properly with their next-gen blockchain-powered applications. Our technology stack is considered a core integrated solution and has been referred to as the bridge between blockchain technologies and existing infrastructure. And according to consensus, a leader in blockchain is focused on integration, which is great news for us. For you crypto fans, let's talk about mining farms. As we know, they're either printing money or burning money. Some of you have already experienced this phenomenon. A few causes of these wild fluctuations are questionable decision-making, a lack of visibility, and shortage of real-time analytics. Running mining servers costs money, whether or not your servers are making money. With our Blockchain Operations Center, mining farms can now leverage our analytics and alerts engines to maximize ROI and mitigate risk from the cost of operating their mining servers. You can analyze server level, CPU, I/O, memory, cycle costs, perform resource planning utilization using our real-time and historical reporting engine. On the exchange platforms, exchange activity fluctuates. It is not always profitable to mine. Administrators can use our real-time metrics, custom analytics, and automated alerts to leverage our intelligence and convert blind mining into profitable mining. And the best part, an administrator manages all of their mining servers and exchanges from one single pane of glass, our Blockchain Operations Center. Now, we are innovating industry-changing technology and trailblazing blockchain monitoring and analytics. However, there are a few other notable and similar ventures. However, these are mostly young, overseas developed products not focused on the enterprise. Nor do they appear to share our focus on the fully fleshed out global vision that we have. As an investor, though, you should know that Consensus invested $20 million into Alethio, and Blockwatch has publicly stated that they are fully funded. After doing our internal competitive analysis, we found that these ventures have young, talented teams focused on the crypto space, lacking the knowledge and experience of our veteran enterprise IT leadership and fully understanding the needs of IT administrators. And as we all know, the enterprise buys from the enterprise, and we are the enterprise. Okay, enough tech. Let's get to the good stuff. Let's talk about the money. We are at the early stages of the greatest technology boom since the internet itself. According to Gartner and Zion, blockchain's CAGR will increase 67% over the next 5 years. Please note that our forecast has taken into consideration the adoption of the technology itself. However, we are a SaaS model and are pushing into a $20 billion SOM by the year 2030. 200 million in ARR by 2030 is very achievable with 50 million in EBITDA. For those of you wisely asking, where the heck did I get my $20 billion SOM calculation? That's a great question, and I'll be answering that in a future slide. Our SaaS pricing is modeled after the current price, meaning companies are already paying for monitoring and analytics for their current or legacy systems, networks, and applications. For example, when a company replaces their current accounting application with a next-gen blockchain-powered application, we will not affect their P&L. They will cancel their old contract and replace it with our contract. No additional budget approval will be needed. By 2030, our expected ARR for global enterprise clients is over $1 million. Early market adoption, however, is key with new technologies, which is why we are rolling out a pay-as-you-go offering with AWS to attract developers and dev teams. As we all know, today's developers are tomorrow's administrators. Now, taking tech to market is expensive, and enterprise tech even more so. Fortunately, we are a group of polished technologists and enterprise IT veterans. We've done this before. From our inception in early 2018, we have reached many milestones. We are partners with all the major cloud providers, AWS, Google, IBM, Azure. We have signed LOIs and partnership agreements. We completed our MVP in Q3 of this year. We are currently deploying on AWS, and Google is our next deployment. Our expected early adoption market share is 25% from developers and DApp teams, 25% from cloud platforms like AWS, Google, and the like, 25% crypto exchanges and crypto platforms, 25% from the enterprise. We are expecting the enterprise to begin greatly impacting our forecasts around 2025. And to be clear, we are a build to exit team. Much like with our use cases, our acquire list covers a wide spectrum. Many companies are going to need to exist within the newly forming blockchain internet, and every one of them is going to need a mature monitoring and analytics engines, cloud providers, crypto exchanges, global banks, switch and router companies, MSPs, MSSPs, SOCs, and NOCs. I have 2 successful exits under my belt from the drawing board to exit, and many of my team members have exit and IPO experience as well. For those of you asking the question, why invest now? Why invest this early? It's a great question. Great technology takes time. The market-leading technology of tomorrow is being built today. Every major market research group agrees the blockchain industry is going to be the next internet boom, and the market will be the greatest we have seen in our lifetimes. We need to get to market quickly and effectively while taking an aggressive product development path. We have a cash flow positive forecast in the near term and exponential growth potential. The experts at Zion Research Group tell us blockchain fintech market to reach 8.4 billion by 2024. And that's just fintech, and 2024 is right around the corner. In tech, the existing market typically tells us what the future forecast looks like. And remember the 2030, $20 billion SOM question from a few slides ago? I'd like to answer that question by discussing the monitoring and analytics markets in 2019. For existing and legacy technologies, monitoring was a $5 billion SOM in 2019. Analytics was a $10 billion SOM in 2019. And these markets are exploding year over year. In 2018, VMware acquired Wavefront for $375 million for their monitoring engine. In 2020, Google acquired Looker for $2.6 billion for their analytics engine. While VMware and Google are heads down chasing these exploding existing markets, we will be building tomorrow's monitoring and analytics engines, maximizing early adoption market share and positioning ourselves to be one of the many blockchain unicorns primed for acquisition in the next 4 to 7 years. Technology industry experts will tell you, including the CTO of Wipro, monitoring is required to maintain analyze, and improve blockchain. This is the best team of talented enterprise technologists I've had the pleasure of working with over the last 15 to 20 years. A few notable companies we've worked for include IBM, Palo Alto, F5, Accenture, HP, and many more. We are built by the enterprise for the enterprise. This team has developed and taken new technology to market before, and we're very excited about our growth and early exit potential.
30 seconds.
To summarize, we are opening up a $1.5 million angel round as we finish our AWS deployment and push to market. You'll be joining a great list of investors that includes multiple angels, all 4 major cloud providers, myself, and the lead investor in this angel round, a Los Angeles-based accelerator, Expert Dojo. Our use of funds are 70% for continued product development, 20% for sales and marketing, and 10% for operations. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to answering any questions that you have.
Hey, that was excellent. We're going to go online. We're going to go on the participant panel in order, and then I'll go online. Please, if you can, limit the question to 1 so we can get a lot more participants in it. We'll have 12 minutes for Q&A, and then we'll give a summary of, just some comments back to Jules. So I'm going to start with Catherine, Vishal, and Minda. Catherine?
Jules, you have a lot of experience taking a startup to successful outcomes. So I'm going to ask you to draw a line for us. You have an MVP, you're just getting to market. I'm going to assume that you don't really have a lot of revenues to talk about, and your use of proceeds will be primarily for R&D. Tell us what stage your company is in and will be in 12 months. Your go-to-market is very top-down, 25% here, 25% there, of a huge market and so on. There isn't a lot of specifics, so please help us fill out the missing holes.
Absolutely, great question, and that's a lot of information. So I'll try to get it out quickly. Absolutely, we are deploying our technology on AWS. AWS and Google are very excited to have our technology deployed on their platforms. They're going to use our technology as a carrot to attract blockchain developers, blockchain teams, and companies looking to leverage blockchain for their infrastructure. That is our initial model. We do have other platforms as well, major platforms and cloud providers that we're in talks with. And as fast as we can successfully deploy onto those platforms, will be as quickly as we can get to market and maximize the opportunities that they have for us, as well as push ourselves out to market as well. We are looking to hit the market in Q1 of next year. We're currently in the final stages of deploying onto AWS and getting our proof of concept set there. And we will be on the AWS marketplace by the end of this year or January of next year.
Hey, Jules, for the $1.5 million raise that you want, what's the valuation? What's the kind of deal? What are the terms, Lorraine?
Absolutely. We're doing a convertible note, typical convertible note. We have a $5 million evaluation cap. Of course, 8% interest, 2-year term, 8% interest, 20% discount.
Got it. Okay, we're going to go back to Vishal, then Minda.
Just two quick questions. One, you mentioned that you have all the metrics and analytics capability, and it seems like most of your infrastructure will be hosted on a cloud. How your metrics and analytics will be different than what cloud services provider already provides? So that's my first question. The second one is that you mentioned the notion of supernode in your presentation, and that supernode will be basically a part of a blockchain. What you are doing or how you are making sure that supernode is not the weakest link in that blockchain node network?
Absolutely, great questions. Every a platform has, I would call, a fractured ecosystem of providing some monitoring and intelligence, and it is tied to their platform. When we are providing, you're familiar with a NOC, a SOC, we're providing a universal BOC that can be used to address having a more complex global environment. We feel that much like with every other application, companies are going to have some applications or chains on AWS, maybe on Google, some on-prem as well. So when we're building and testing our technology, we're looking at it from being able to provide that service in a more decentralized environment, whereas they're typically tied to their platform or mostly strong only in their own platform. On the supernode side, that's a great question. We are V.2 on the development of the supernode. My background is load balancing, high availability. You'll notice a few members on my team are from my high availability stage. We're going to be pushing into development of the active mode in Q2 of next year. And I think that's when we're actually going to start really digging in and addressing the questions and concerns that you have. But we will be bringing in some high level cybersecurity developers to help us with address those problems at that time.
Thank you.
Right. I'm gonna jump around a little to make sure I get to people who did not have a chance to ask questions last time. So I'm gonna go to Dan Rosen, and then I'm gonna go to back to Minda. Dan.
Hi, Jules. Great presentation, and I get how complex the environment you're walking into will be. My question is this. There's so many different components in managing a blockchain. How do people discover what you offer compared to all the other vendors out there that offer different things that sound similar?
Yeah, we've noticed that as well, as we've all battled through a lot of the misinformation, that's out there in blockchain. And we found multiple kind of widget companies or small teams, I call them crypto kids, age myself, that I think are doing a really great job of getting in there and flushing out some of that intelligence. What we're doing is bringing it into a centralized command center. We're looking at it through enterprise ITIs. And companies are going to have a robust environment. So some of those companies, I think, do a very good job for a specific protocol or a specific platform. But we're going to have the first universal platform that allows an administrator to then feel more comfortable pushing this technology down into their ecosystem. They'll have nodes in their sandbox, AWS. If they want to flush out a different protocol or platform, they're not going to need to stand up a new set of monitoring and analytics tools. We're going to be able to take that data and ingest it into our system and provide that centralized command center.
Okay. I'm going to go to Minda and then Damien. One question, if you can limit it, that would be great. Minda?
Terrible at limiting myself, but I will try.
Put you on mute. No.
Am I
go
on?
Ahead. Go ahead,
Okay.
Minda.
All right, here we go. How quickly can a regular sort of traditional software developer switch over to becoming a blockchain developer by using your platform? Is there anything in there that you assist with in terms of bridging the gap, in terms of setting up a stack and learning the code?
That is actually a fantastic question and a use case we stumbled upon when we were trying to frame up our own test blockchain environments. The current DevOps cycle in blockchain is a mess. You have to frame up the application architecture, deploy nodes. You have to stop what you're doing and then start digging through code to see what kind of impact or effect that it had, or if things aren't operating properly. With our solution put in place, dropping our node on the chain, when a developer is now developing, deploying nodes, updating smart contracts, trying to understand how they're going to scale and scope their environment, they get real-time analytics, real-time alerts, and real-time reporting. We've named it now DevChainOps. You have DevOps, DevSecOps, and DevChainOps. And it was a team of developers and our own developers that realized that our solution fixes a lot of the problems in DevChainOps that are really limiting and stifling the development and adoption of blockchain itself.
Okay. I'm going to go to Damien, then Hilton.
Thanks, David. So Jules, you mentioned that some of the cloud service providers were excited to use this as a carrot to bring in blockchain companies. What's to stop one or more of these cloud service providers from natively offering a competing tool?
Yeah, and that's the biggest risk in enterprise technology and technology as we know it. We do have in our plan next year with this with these monies coming in this round to start to document, trademark, and we have some provisional patent ideas that we want to put into place. Q1, Q2 of next year, get that process started. Now, typically with companies, they are chasing business. And in monitoring and analytics, it is an exploding marketplace for existing technology, which is a good thing for us. That allows us to come in and develop our engines while they're chasing current business. And by the time they turn around and realize that, hey, we've got to address blockchain, it's the buy versus build. We all know that Google could have built Looker for $100 million, but they turned around and bought them for $2.6 billion because they had come in, built the technology, got market share, and had established the name brand in the marketplace.
Okay. As a follow-on to that, who was your competition specifically in the fintech blockchain monitoring area?
We haven't found it, and that's where it's surprising. It's in that we have a great network of people that are in the enterprise space. It's a mess. They're using a combination of widgets and monitoring tools, and they're spending a significant portion of their time trying to solve this problem rather than focusing on the development and implementation of the technology itself.
Okay, I'm going to go to Hilton.
Thanks. My question is sort of a follow-up to the last one because I just put down IP and question mark. So it sounds like you don't have any now, but you're going to wait till you develop and see what's patentable. Is that the plan?
Correct. On the dashboard side, it's a race, right? We're developing software. It's hard to patent, the software race on that side. On the supernode side, we see a lot of avenues for provisional patents, and supernodes, again, like switches and routers, everyone who has chains and dApps are going to need multiple administrator nodes out there helping them manage and optimize their chains, just like they do today. And we see a lot of patent potential there.
Okay. We do not have any other hands raised or questions, which is real surprising. So does anyone else have a question or want to have a follow-up to any of the questions asked?
Comment time. So maybe Jules will have some comments for you.
Well, Vishal wants to say something. Vishal?
Less than a couple of minutes left. Yeah, go ahead, Vishal.
You are raising $1.5 million at 5 million cap, right?
Correct.
That means that at the end of that first angel round, you will end up losing 30% of your equity.
Correct. In today's market, unfortunately, that was a $10 million cap. The beginning of this year, unfortunately, with what's happening, we're seeing a very strained investor community, and we would try to adjust accordingly.
All right. I want to go to Minda has a question or a follow-up from the last time. Minda?
Yes, hi. Seeing that you have 4 different major market segments you're going after all at once, each one of those, whether it's the hobbyist dApp developer, the enterprise exchanges, or a platform, I wrote all 4 down, massively different use cases, different expectations, different groups. How are you going to go to market with all those different segments all at once? It felt a little bit sort of like too broad to me.
Absolutely, and thank you for bringing that out. I was limited with the 12 minutes. Our initial plan, as we frame up on AWS first, Google next, and then we'll decide which platform is third. We are going to be attracting the dev shops, the development teams, utilizing the pay-as-you-go service as the market evolves. But monitoring and analytics themselves, blockchains themselves, those platforms are considered universal. So as we push the market and get known in the market early next year, of course, we've got a couple large accounts that we're trying to land as well.
So you're focusing on devs first, is that right?
Correct. That's where the low-hanging fruit for us is. And we feel that early next year, we can start to attract that. With the pay-as-you-go service, it was AWS's idea, actually, to launch that engine with them so that they could also attract dev teams and dev shops to utilize their platform with our monitoring analytics tools.
All right, we are out of time. Jules, thank you. Did you notice that every time somebody asked a question, you said excellent question? So that's pretty good, right? So they're all excellent questions.
Well, what would you want him to say? That question really sucks.
Yeah, that must be Dr. David.
Well, thank you, Jules. Good presentation. Best of luck. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, everyone. I really appreciate it.
All right, take care.
Oh, we didn't want to give him any comments back?
We're completely out of time. So I was I left a couple of minutes for that, but the questions kept going. But we are out of time. We did go over 2 minutes.
All right.
All right, Jules. So we have team capacity coming on board. And I think Marcus and David, are you both in?
Yeah, hey guys, this is David Karandish, CEO and co-founder. Marcus is my CFO, so he has given me the driver's seat today. Thank you all for taking the time out. Is everybody able to see my screen? We good on sharing? All right, let's dive in. So our mission at Capacity is to help teams do their best work. So this is my 8th startup. First 6 paid for a few pizzas in high school and college. 7th one we grew to 250 million in revenue before we sold it to a private equity firm. And when after getting out of that experience, I said the next company I start, I wanted to do something that could help companies be more efficient, more effective, and that's the why behind what we do. Now, in terms of what we figured out, we've learned that support costs are skyrocketing within our clients. It has never been more expensive to support your team or to support your customers. And as the world's changed, remote work has obviously gone up. Customer expectations, believe it or not, have also gone up, even as support staff has gone down. But we believe that AI is the only way for companies to scale non-linearly. And so Capacity is disrupting the help desk market by using artificial intelligence to automate your support. Now, in terms of the market, the global help desk automation market will be 11 billion by 2023. The AI software market will be 126 billion by 2025. To put that into perspective, when I started this just a couple of years ago, it was anticipated to be 60 billion at that time frame. So in roughly 3 to 4 years, the entire size of the pie has doubled. All of this is accelerating post-COVID. I am not going to turn this into a political conversation for a nice Tuesday afternoon, but suffice to say, no matter what side of the aisle you're on, everyone is talking about how AI is here to stay, and automation is going to be a huge part of the next few years near term, as well as the next 20 to 30 years going forward. In terms of the competitive landscape, so there's a really interesting dynamic that happens in the help desk market. You've got self-serve providers like Zendesk, who are $8K a year. You get in, you can get a quick help desk up and running. Then you've got enterprise partners like ServiceNow that are almost $500,000 a year. We believe that there's a big hole in this market for companies that want a ServiceNow-like experience with workflows, and power, and scale, but they also want a self-service and ease of use like a Zendesk. And that's the specific part of the market that we play in. Now we think about Colette as your typical help desk agent. She's frustrated, she's burnt out, she uses a lot of outdated tools, she answers the same questions over and over again. We want to turn her into that superhero support agent who loves her job because she gets to help people with the tough stuff. Now, when you look at automating the key parts of her role, what you'll learn pretty quickly is that there are a lot of pieces to it. She needs a place to store her frequently asked questions, otherwise they're going to land back on her desk. She needs the ability to upload and search relevant documents because a lot of the answers she pulls from will come from a PDF or a Word file somewhere. She wants to be able to author content, place it on her support website, triage and direct where questions should go, jump directly into a conversation with a customer, connect to key systems like email, CRM, proprietary apps her company's developed, as well as automating key processes she does behind the scenes, like setting up an account or onboarding a new person. Now, you might be able to find a point solution for any one of these boxes. We fundamentally believe that the modern help desk should combine them all. FAQs, Cloud Drive, articles, conversations, live chat, app integrations, developer platform, and workflows, all in one integrated package. So David, what does that look like? So on the left, you've got either Connie, the consumer, or Emily, the employee, either one, internal or external. She sends her message into Capacity. Capacity comes back with an instant response. Today, we are answering 86% of questions automatically across our client set. Now, part of the reason why we're able to do that is because of the advanced AI and technology that we've built out from a natural language processing standpoint. We'll talk about that in a minute. But the other reason why we're able to do that is that because of the comprehensiveness of the number of things we can connect to. We can mine information out of your documents, connect to your apps, and engage in surveys and conversations. Now, if you happen to ask Capacity a question and it doesn't know the answer, we will intelligently route that question over to Colette on your support team, where she can jump in via live chat if she's available then, or she can come back and follow up via ticket if she's offline at the moment. Now, unlike other ticketing providers, when Colette answers that question, we'll actually save that response back to the knowledge base for next time. So the AI is constantly learning the ins and outs of the system. Think about the product in terms of the 3 parts. So part 1, AI-enabled chat knowledge base. So Jackson here asks his question. Capacity comes back with an instant response. You've seen these on websites. You've seen these internally. We're one of the first companies that's doing it both internal and external with the power of workflows behind it. Second part, speaking of workflows, not only can you ask a question and get an answer out, but you can also kick off a very complicated workflow for things like onboarding. We're doing this in call centers for managing document intake. With a workflow, you can take the key tasks you perform over and over again, and instead of assigning them to your team, you can assign them to the capacity bot. And then finally, as great as we think our technology is, as awesome as it is to automate everything, we recognize there will always be certain tasks that only people can do. And so capacity comes out of the box with a help desk. The help desk is modern, it's built for a cloud-based infrastructure, and it's designed to help you answer questions as quickly as possible, including embedded tasks within them to map those questions back to answer questions as well. All right, in terms of learning, we've got 3 pieces. We've got the natural language processing, which means you can ask your query in whatever way you'd like. We can handle your typos and your acronyms and variants. We've got our machine learning around mining information out of your documents. I actually filed for our first patent around this. We should be hearing back on that sometime in the next coming months. And then lastly, the AI itself, the more questions you throw at it, the smarter and smarter it gets. So it creates this nice data moat behind the scenes. Now, when we started, we were converting about 5% of our opportunities into sales. And then as of about the halfway point on the year, we got that up to about 15%. And now at the end of this year, we'll be at somewhere around 18%. So our conversion rates of opportunities into sales have improved as the product has improved. This is because we are delivering lots of value. Here's a nice quote from Jason Peach from West Community Credit Union. By implementing capacity, we were able to reduce their call center volume by 25% while increasing their customer sat scores by 10 points during a time in which he grew his assets under management by 40%. So his revenue was up 40%, his call center volume was down 25%, and customer sat scores were up by 10 points. So this is kind of a win-win-win that you want to see. We've proven this out with a lot of great brands, a lot in the FinServe space. So working with folks like an Edward Jones, all the way down to a West Community. We do a lot in the mortgage space as well. We're just starting to kick off in education. We've got a large deal with Maryville University we'll talk about in just a minute. Now, my favorite slide of this whole deck is this one. If I could jump in my DeLorean, go back in time 18 months and say, David, what do you want to prove out? I want to prove out that we can land a client with an initial pilot or contract and expand. And the beauty is that we've gotten large expansions across the board, across different client sets, whether it's adding our workflows product, adding our live chat, adding our some of our developer platform initiatives. So when we land a client, that we're not done with them, we've got a huge opportunity to grow that account from that initial contract. Now, from an ARR perspective, at the end, we started the company in the beginning of 2017. We were at around 500K of ARR at the end of Q2 of last year. We got that up to about 1.5 million at the end of Q2 of this year. We then finished at 2.5 million at the end of Q3, and we'll be at just north of 3 million of ARR at the end of this year. So nice up into the right growth. We're up 3x year over year. Now, where we ultimately want to go, we want to double that to 6 million next year, double that again to call it 10 to 12 the following year. And then ultimately we want to get to 100 million of revenue by 2026. If we do that, we're very, very confident that we can get at least a 10x revenue multiple and possibly much, much higher than that. Part of the beauty of the business model is that our commitments from our customers are part of a SaaS multi-year strategy. Average term length is 2 years, and the power of that means that when we land a client, we can convert them into these multi-year deals, and it just creates this annuity-like revenue stream as the business continues to grow. In terms of the capital raise, we're looking for accredited investors, family offices, and corporate investment arms. We've already raised 12.5 million in this round in the middle of a pandemic, and our goal is to raise up to 25 million. $150 million pre-money value. It's pari passu, tag-along rights, drag-along rights, pro rata rights, and a 1x downside liquidity preference. I've also personally put my own investment in this round as well, and so I'm investing on the same terms that any of you all would. In terms of the uses, we are scaling the organization, accelerating marketing, exploring some additional patent opportunities, and then building a bridge to profitability. I mentioned we want to be at, call it 12 million in revenue in 2022. At that rate, we're right about break even. In terms of our journey, we built the initial prototype in NLP. We figured out what is that category killer in enterprise AI. How do we get the sales and marketing machine off the ground? We're now at this robust enterprise platform phase where companies are building on top of capacity. It used to be that when they wanted to integrate their apps with us, we would do all the heavy lifting. Now with our developer platform, they are connecting in, which also creates a nice moat because once you've built an integration, it's hard to go port that somewhere else. Ultimately, you say, David, where do you want to go? ServiceNow is an $84 billion market cap company on $4 billion in revenue. And they did that because they figured out that at the enterprise, there's a huge opportunity to bring automation in. We believe that we can be a very, very sizable company at a very, very small fraction of their market share, and we're already off to a great start. Lastly, recognition in the marketplace. We were named as one of the best startup employers by Forbes this year, best startup employer in Missouri by Tech Tribune, and recently Pepperdine listed us as one of the most fundable companies in the United States. With that, I will open up to questions.
Yeah, just a comment that a couple of people, sidebarred. You're looking for $12.5 million. The valuation's very high. Looks like at least the C round, we're angel investors. Isn't there an incongruity here?
So we have not brought in any venture funds. It's been all friends and family. Like I said, my last company sold for $960 million. I put my own capital in all of the rounds, the A round, the B round, and the C round. And we're doing so bringing on folks who want to back both an entrepreneur and back a technology that's growing like crazy.
Well, it's just a comment because, as angel investors, it's kind of incongruous with what you're asking and what your valuation is. And I'm going to go back to the questions, then maybe we'll come up with some comments. I'm going to go to Sanjay, Garrett, Catherine, and Barbara. Sanjay?
Yeah, thanks. Great presentation. So a couple of questions. One is, on the deal size, what's your average deal size when a new customer comes on board, and what is the engagement? What does it look like? You showed that slide as to how they keep growing.
Yeah, great question. When we started, our average contract value was around $35K a year. It's now up to $65K a year. And our last quarter, it was $90K a year per client. So we've shown that we've continued to move up the stack, both as our product has matured, as well as our customers buying more of the product suite itself.
Okay,
in terms of implementation, if you sign with us today, we will get the first part of capacity deployed in your org in 30 days or less. If we have to go do an app integration, or you're going to go build an app integration, that could be 6 weeks after that. But this is not a 6-month implementation time where you got to go bang your head against the wall.
So at full deployment, how many agents are using the product, in an enterprise?
So we've got about 3 dozen customers, spanning anything from customer, 1 or 2 agents to places that have, hundreds.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go to Garrett and then Catherine.
Hi, David. Congrats on those sales conversion rates and the increase in those. I want to ask about that a little bit. It's very hard, as you know, to rip and replace a Zendesk or a Service Cloud or ServiceNow. Are any of those deals that you're winning competitive with like a larger company? If so, I'd like to hear why you won. And then on ones where you're not winning, I'd like to know why you're losing on those competitive rip and replace deals.
Yeah, great question. So part of the reason why we do well with rip and replace is that we're very flexible. If you like the help desk for Zendesk, we've got a Zendesk integration. You can continue to use Zendesk if you want, but you know what? We're throwing that in along with our workflows implementation. And so if you like us for the workflows, eventually you'll come to us and say, man, why am I paying twice for what I'm doing over here with Zendesk when I could bring that over to capacity? Other times where we've won against Zendesk is designed to be very self-service, which is great, but it's not designed to plug into a lot of external systems. With our developer platform, we can connect capacity to just about any application with what's called a RESTful API. We've done over 50 integrations that come out of the box, and then we could typically get a new integration up in anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks, depending on the complexity of the app.
Okay, I'm going to go to Catherine, Barbara, then Don. Catherine?
Hi, what are your 2020 recognizable or recognized GAAP revenues expected to be in 2021? And what is your customer retention metric?
Yeah, so our ARR at the end of the year will be about 3 million. I think our GAAP will be somewhere around 2. And that's just a function of the accelerating growth. We're going to be 6 million of ARR at the end of 2021. So the gap will be somewhere around 5 of gap revenue. In terms of customer retention rate, we're around a 90% customer retention rate on an annual basis with a 127% dollar retention rate because we have customers that end up upselling along the way. So for every $1 we bring on, we get another 27 cents on average out of the life of the customer.
Okay, Barbara, Don, and then Max. Barbara?
Sorry. So can we just talk, you've raised $36 million to date. You just said your gap accounting shows that you have $2 million for 2020. We see a lot of competition in this space, right? And so I'm concerned about prices going down. And I saw your first cut at who your competition is in terms of high price, low price, you're somewhere in between. Can you tell us what you've done with the $36 million to date? And why have your revenues, has your growth been what you expected, or has there been a bump in the road?
Yeah, so from vast majority of our costs go toward our team. So of our team, we've got almost 2/3 are in product and engineering. And so when I look at the product and what we've built, we started out as a chatbot answering questions on a website. And we looked at it and said, you know what? I think that market is going to get pretty saturated. I think prices will come down for that. But what we learned as we got in and we started working with customers is that there's a difference between a bot and a support automation framework. So what we mean by support automation is the ability to automate all aspects of what a person would do on the other end of the line. So that means kicking off workflows, that means filling out tickets, that means integrating with these apps. And so we've actually seen our price go up as we've delivered more and more value in terms of a very, very straightforward cost takeout at these companies. We're working with one company in particular who said, David, we could take out 10 times the cost of what you guys are charging, and they're at north of 400 grand a year.
So you've pivoted.
I wouldn't say we pivoted. I'd say yeah, I guess you could say pivoted. We've really just kind of expanded as we've gotten in the market and learned.
All right, going to Don and Max.
I recognize that you've raised a lot of money and that obviously increases your valuation, but I want to drill down a little bit further where David ended up, and that is, how did you come up with $150 million? I'm in my 16th year with TCA and I've never seen a pre-money valuation on a company that's going out for its first round after family and friends at that level. So how'd you get to it?
Yeah, a couple of things. We've got some comps I'm happy to share offline in terms of folks that are getting acquired at zero revenue because of how important this technology is. I want to stress that this is not a page turn or a chapter turn. And AI is not something where you got to go wait. I'm not asking you to go wait for this market to get established 10 years from now. We're growing fast. We've got an experienced management team that's already had $1 billion exit. And we've done so in a way where, because of the multi-year deal, we've got lock-in on our revenue going out the next 2 years. So while we might only be 3 million of ARR at the end of this year, we've got 2 years of that revenue being locked in because of the recurring nature of the deals.
Yeah, just to pop on from Don, just to pile on here, seems egregiously large, especially for an angel. You can take that for what it's worth. Max?
Yeah, 2 quick questions. One is, why are you not going to VCs? And number 2, you've made reference a couple times that you've got cash in this. How much of your own cash have you invested?
Yeah, so from a VC perspective, my last company was private equity backed. And we got to a point where 2 of our private equity firms made lots of money. Another private equity firm came in and loaded the business up with a lot of debt. And we all know how that story ends. And so we wanted to remain independent, and we wanted to do so in a way where we're not at the behest of some fund that needs to turn over and flip this thing in 3 years. 2026, we're going to be at $100 million in revenue.
No, if you could answer my question, how much of your own cash have you put in?
Yeah, so I put in about 10 million so far.
Got it. So you're in big time.
I'm in. I'm all in.
And do you really think you're going to be able to raise money from angels at this valuation? Do you have any proof points where angels say, this is reasonable valuation for angels and we could see a 10x return in 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, it's all angels who put in the other 26 million have been all angels along the way.
Have you raised any money from any of the St. Louis Angels? I'm a native St. Louis and I graduated Washington U a few years before you. Congratulations. But any of the St. Louis Angels, because I know they tend to be very conservative.
Yeah, I mean, like we just had an angel investor from TD Ameritrade put in 350 grand in the round. I called all my buddies in YPO and I said, look, here's what we're up to. This is not going to be a cheap deal. So if that's what your most important thing you're looking for, we're probably not a good fit. That's okay. But
and
I can tell you that.
Are your YPO buddies in? Some of them?
Yeah. I think we've got 7 or 8 YPO investors.
Great. Good. Nice going.
All right. Thank you. We're going to open it up for some feedback since there are no more questions. I think we beat up the evaluation. But I'm going to make a comment, David. That's my feedback. Is at this rate, it doesn't seem like the investors will make any money. So that's kind of my comment. You really have to think your valuation. So I'm not asking you to respond back. This is a feedback, portion of what we're trying to do. But anybody with feedback, you can jump in.
I think it's a good market space. I'm an investor in now, and I like it in the cap taping, and it keeps going up in the market capitalization. I just think, and again, echoing the point, it may be a little on the high side, and I'd go with a VC. I think they would invest in this space. It seems more appropriate for them.
All right. Anyone else?
Yeah, I just want to jump in from a product perspective. I heard natural language processing, machine learning, and AI. But I didn't hear anything specific that was really differentiated about what you're doing with those technologies compared to other folks. I hear, it just sort of seemed very similar in terms of the technology profile of the solution and how you're applying those technologies. So I would have liked to have heard more about your differentiation, because if I see you sitting mid-market, I just see you getting squeezed. That's what that graph showed me. So I'd like to know how you differentiate from a solution perspective that allows you to elbow those folks up.
Good point, Minda. Catherine?
I'm going to double down on that. I have one question. I had one question here, but I had already asked 2, so I didn't ask this one, which is that based on my experience, NLP is a highly verticalized, vertical specific application of a technology, as is AI. And what that means is that what I was looking for or looking to hear from you on is what particular vertical sectors or use cases you're particularly really differentiated in, and therefore you're targeting. And I didn't hear that. I heard a very generic sort of mid-market pitch.
All right. Anyone else? Okay, David, these are good points. Maybe you should take some notes down, maybe so you can answer the next time around. Thanks very much, David.
Thank you.
All right, so we are at 124. We're almost halfway through. We have 2 more companies. We'll be back at 30 minutes after the hour, 6 more minutes.
By the way, JJ, you're actually 60% through, just to let you know the math.
Oh, okay, thank you. Well, no, we have it from noon to 3, so it's about halfway through.
Yeah, okay, you're looking at, that's a difference. You look at Ying and I look at Yang. That's.
All right, so just about 6 minutes break. If you have not evaluated the company, please do. The link, Stephen, can you post the link one more time? Thank you.
By the way, just to let you know, now is market cap is, I think, 98 billion and the revenues are 4.2. Don't know what the EBITDA is, but you're talking to 20x on revenue, because there was a comment that Jeff Koenig raised, and this one's at more than 100x on revenue. Just to let you know.
Who is that you're referring to, Dave?
I was looking at the last one now, ServiceNow now in that space. They're 20x on the revenue. High company, by the way, high flyer.
Yeah, San Diego startup originally.
ServiceNow was a San Diego company?
Yeah, they moved to the Bay Area when they got big.
Why'd you chase them
That's what they should do.
Jay, why are you doing this to companies? Hey, Hans, welcome.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Which company is up next, JJ?
It is going to be Wayne, Terra Circuit.
Sounds like a deal.
How is it that 3 people have already voted?
You know, we had a couple of investors that were coming in today, and the last minute they had some emergency. So what they did, they said that they're going to vote on the companies that they were going to come in, but they just couldn't do it. So they did go ahead and vote.
Like Chicago, vote early, vote often. You know, no big problem.
Yeah.
Well, without casting any aspersions on the individuals, frankly, I don't even recognize the names, but so I'm not trying to pick on anybody individually, but I'm not sure that's totally fair to the company.
I'm sorry, Don, I didn't hear you. Sorry, say that again.
I'm not criticizing the individuals that voted, but I'm respectfully questioning the process of permitting them to vote when they haven't heard today's presentation, which based on not only the presentation itself, but the questions, the way they respond to them from the panel, et cetera, I think it should be, I mean, that to me is a little bit backwards.
No, you're absolutely right. I did, so no one has done that before except, you know, I could tell you, for example, Robert, he's seen all these companies before in the previous, and then he said, I just can't make it today. And he's been part of the entire process, Robert Stacy, and he was also in the last one. So he said, can I just vote? And I was like, have you seen these companies? He goes, yes, I've studied them, and I'm very, you know, open and you know, going to be, it's going to be good for me to rank them because I know a lot about these companies. So that's one of them. I don't remember who else, but I can tell you Robert Stacy.
Right. So JJ, I am on the call, and Don, that's an excellent.
Oh, here he is. Yeah.
And yeah. I have seen the companies before, and I was on the call.
Yeah.
If I might jump in here, I think this would be a very good case for Mr. Giuliani to take on.
So Robert, I didn't see you. You said you were gonna come late. Good to see you. And yeah, thanks for doing that. I wasn't sure you were gonna still make it today. So
I didn't think I was gonna make it, but I skipped the drugstore.
JJ, right. Can I ask in general about, this was a Series C deal, and we spent a lot of time talking about valuation, and they might just be right in line for where they are for a later stage deal, but it's hard to compare them to everybody else who's seed type of deals. Was there any qualification on that?
So
in the application process?
Okay, so this one specifically, I'm going to tell you, the Capacity and Terra Circuit came in as winners of the Pepperdine Most Fundable. So because they were winners of the Pepperdine Most Fundable, they were afforded direct, you know, entry into the competition. So there was no pre-qualification on the Pepperdine ones.
Do you know if the Pepperdine judges are actually investors?
I don't know all the judges, but I know some of the judges are investors for sure, yes.
Okay.
What was Pepperdine looking for?
Most fundable company. They've been doing it for 4 years, I think 5 years. They look at 4,500 companies and they get them down to 20.
This last one was not one of those?
Yes, Team Capacity was from Pepperdine, and also the next one coming is Terra Circuit is from Pepperdine as well, but also Terra Circuit is also a TCA portfolio company.
And an earlier seed deal still.
And an earlier seed deal, yes.
It's not Series C like the last one.
That's right.
Yeah, my problem is not just that it's Series C, but there's a big gap between the valuation and the revenues.
Yeah, just like Jeff Koenig, I think he commented on this as like 100 times revenue, but 10 times the 10 times at the exit is 10 times your money. So, but currently 100 times revenue. So
As a VC, I've done tons of Series C deals, and I would never do that deal. It was, the numbers are just too off, and our equity ownership stake would be too small, even for Series C, which has never happened.
JJ, my issue is, so the company looked good in a lot of ways, but then the valuation is totally out of hand. So I give it a low number in valuation, but the score ends up high, but I would never do it.
Hey, can I say something? Having seen a lot of these AI-powered bots, et cetera, here in Boston, the fact that he's blown through $36 million and is doing a C with angels should put up a red flag with everybody on this call, honestly.
I
That
totally
is
agree with
very
Barbara. There
frightening.
is something off here about everything that sort of how this company has evolved and developed and why it's here right now. Looking
Just
like
to
this.
let you guys know, Wayne Ricker just joined. He's going to make the next presentation. Now you pissed him off and scared him off. I just want to let you know, Wayne's a good friend of mine, and we've invested in this company. Now I'm wondering if I should get my money back.
Did you invest at 100 million plus valuation, Dave?
No, never.
all right, so
Wayne
it
any
is time.
ideas. My point, Jay, is don't give him any ideas.
Yeah, not to Wayne, right?
David, I don't think that'd be very successful anyway.
David, when it comes to terror circuits, I'll buy your shares. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'm not giving him up. I'm committed.
All right, so Phil, we didn't answer your question, but I don't know how to answer it. I think you should try to evaluate to best of your ability, depending on, again, I don't know. It is a tough question to answer, but we need to move on. Wayne, whenever you want to share your screen, please do.
All right, here we go.
I just hope you're not going through 69 slides, by the way. That's what I saw on your list.
Are you guys seeing my screen? I'm seeing, it looks like I'm having a problem here.
No, it was
we're not
on.
seeing it.
Then it's off. Try it again. It was.
Okay, I think I'm going to have to use the main screen here.
We were seeing it, and then we stopped seeing it.
Yeah, I'm on I'm on a screen repeater, so it's causing some difficulty, I think. Apologize for that. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to turn it off. You might lose me.
All right, penalty phase, 6 minutes off. Yeah.
No, actually, JJ, valuation goes down 1 million for every minute.
Yeah.
It's in the fine print.
There we go.
All right, we can see your screen. Yeah, go ahead.
They got it.
All right, I'm Ray Richard. I'm the CEO of Terra Circuits.
We can't hear you very well though now.
Let's okay, move the microphone. Is that better?
Much better. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm actually a angel investor myself with Tech Coast Angels. I've been an investor since 2009. Prior to that, I was chief technologist at Seagate, where I started the consumer product division. That became a $2 billion division of Seagate, 20% of their revenue. I also was part of the fiber channel effort, which was another multi-billion-dollar industry that I was involved in prior to joining Seagate, and at a company in Orange County called Emulex. So since 2009, I've been basically doing investing, and Terra Circuits is the first portfolio company that I've decided to become involved with operationally. And that's really because of the founder and CTO, Dr. Jana Sheets. I met Dr. Sheets when she was trying to raise money for her concepts. And after spending probably really close to a year with Jana, we reformulated and repositioned the company, focused it on a particular market, and that's the foundation of Terra Circuits today. Dr. Sheets has a PhD in physical chemistry, and she's also an expert in microlithography, polymer chemistry, and organic electroluminescence, which is OLED. If you're buying a new television for the Super Bowl, you might be looking at OLED. It's the state of the art in display technology today. And Dr. Sheets was one of the original researchers in that space when she was at Hewlett Packard. And then Werner Domansky is a 30-year veteran of operations with companies like IBM and HGST. So what Terra Circuits does in a nutshell is we make microassembly possible. And microassembly is the assembly of things that are super small, complicated, small devices. And increasingly, a lot of the things that we're going to be building in the future fall into that category. They're incredibly complex, they're incredibly small, and they have a lot of various components. The foundation of our technology is polymer chemistry. And in addition to that, we have intellectual property that includes manufacturing methods and also the apparatus that's used in microassembly. Plus, we've developed some processes around some very particular forms of assembly and packaging. So we don't actually make the end products ourselves. We simply enable the manufacturing of things that would be very difficult otherwise, or if not impossible. So here's an example. This is the Apple Watch teardown. And you can see that the components that you see here, if you see that interconnect PCBA and PCBB, those PCB stands for printed circuit board. And that's a computer you wear on your wrist. And those printed circuit boards have components that are almost impossible to see. This is an example of the Echo Loop, and this is a smart speaker that you wear on your finger. Same thing, the printed circuit board on this device is smaller than a fingernail. It's super tiny. And then here's an example of a medical device. This is a colonoscopy screening device that it's about the size of a vitamin. You swallow it and it travels through the colon and takes X-ray images of your colon while it's moving through your system. And these are the type of devices and assembly challenges that Terra Circuits addresses. So we could really address any of these markets, but what we chose to focus on is micro LED panel assembly. And that's our beachhead market, and I think it'll become apparent why we chose that particular market. Even though there's many things we could do, we thought it was important to focus with laser precision on something that we had a very high chance of success and that had some unmet needs. So the display industry cannibalizes itself about every decade or so. And if you were looking at the market about 5 years ago, you would have seen that liquid crystal displays, LCD, had about a 80% market share. And then OLED was just emerging. And then this year, OLED and LCD are almost neck and neck. You can see that they're about 50-50. And OLED market share is increasing. OLED is a superior technology to LCD, and it's riding the cost curve down. So that's why if you buy state-of-the-art today, you're going to be getting OLED. If you're in the business of building the capital equipment that's used to make OLED and LCD, you're in an $8 billion market. And you can imagine if you were Applied Materials, which you can see here has about a 30% market share, amounts to about a $2 billion market share of this TAM. If you missed that display transition from LCD to OLED, that's the amount of revenue, annual revenue you have at risk. And that's the amount that's at risk if you miss the next transition. So it turns out that we already know that the next display technology will be micro LED. It is better than OLED in every possible dimension you can measure. It's higher resolution, lower power. It allows a wider viewing angle, and you can use it for applications that OLED is simply not suited for, like transparent displays for augmented reality. And it also has the potential to be cheaper than OLED. So again, pretty much everything you can measure, it's going to be an improvement. The problem with micro LEDs is that they can be smaller than a grain of pollen. Here you see 5 micro LEDs clustered on the head of an ant. These devices are so small that conventional manufacturing techniques can't handle them. So even though they can be built and potentially fabricated for a lower cost display, the manufacturing cost is what prevents micro LED from being a dominant display technology today. So to give you an idea of how we build things today that involve placing components on a substrate, it's a pick and place machine. This is one of the fastest pick and place machines on the market today. And you can see it's fast as a relative term. It's not moving that quickly. A micro LED television would have 35 million of those tiny devices that would have to be placed. So using that technique, you're talking about 58 days to build a 4K 80-inch television. Obviously, that is not going to be a commercially viable approach. So with Terra circuits, we've actually met the industry requirement for massively parallel transfer of components. We can pick up and place thousands of components in one operation, and we can place them on a substrate with sub-micron accuracy. When you're building something like a television, you have to cluster red, green, and blue individual micro LEDs in a pixel. And that requires a lot more precision than the other manufacturing techniques can achieve. These die have to be stabilized and released accurately. And also, if you can imagine, the human eye is very good at detecting a bad pixel. So you have to do this with selectivity for only the known good components, and you have to do it fast. So our process addresses all of that. When you look at the competitive approaches that are out there, they all have some weakness. In fact, most of these companies aren't even in the manufacturing business at all. Their focus has been on manufacturing the micro LEDs. And now they find as they try to move into production that their assembly techniques are lacking in some way. LuxView was acquired by Apple for their micro LED technology, and Apple has pretty deep pockets, but that's a very expensive process that they use to build displays. The little hands at the bottom that show the plus and the minus, those are processes that aren't yielding at a level that is acceptable for a commercially viable process. And then again, some of these companies like Play Nitride and Rohini are primarily in the micro LED business, not the transfer business. So this is an incredibly rich ecosystem. Besides the tools manufacturers like Applied Materials that I mentioned before on the left-hand side, you also have a disaggregation of the supply chain where some of the OEMs like Samsung and LG, Apple themselves, are actually cutting out the display manufacturers and going vertical. So that creates another opportunity to go right to the OEMs. And then in the middle, you have the outsourced assembly and test houses, and even the semiconductor space can also benefit from this technology. So we're planning on being cash flow positive in 3 years. And we're on track of 2020. We've actually, our revenue for 2020 is actually going to be closer to 11,000. So we're exceeding that number. And we're on track right now to meet our 2021 numbers as well. So cash flow positive in 2022, and 2024 is really based on market projections of a market that's still just emerging. Once you hit the transition to micro LED, this really takes off after 2024. So this is just looking out the 4 or 5 years. Huge exit potential for a company like ours. So usually acquired pre-revenue. As I said earlier, Apple acquired LuxView, and it's believed that they paid $400 million just for the micro LED approach that they had. And Google put $15 million in a company called Glow. It's another company that just does micro LEDs. And if you look at where the momentum is in tech startups, companies that are doing advanced manufacturing are actually the subsector with the highest growth rate. So we're in a really sweet spot right now. It's not a consumer-focused business. It's a core technology for manufacturing. Now, I probably have to say a little bit about this deal after the last presentation. Our deal is a $6 million Series A. We did close our seed round, and we raised over $750,000 on convertible notes in our seed round. So far, we've got a little bit north of $1 million in the company. So we are moving to a Series A. This valuation is based on the likelihood that this Series A will involve a venture partner from a corporate group. So someone like a Samsung Ventures, Applied Ventures, LG Ventures. We expect that they'll be coming in and they'll be probably taking half the round or more. So that really is how we're justifying, excuse me, justifying this raise and this valuation. Okay, that's it. I'll take questions, and I can jump to one of these these drill down areas if you're interested. If you want to keep the display open.
That was a really good timing. You have 12 seconds remaining. We're going to go online. Going to go to Catherine, Tony, Barbara, and then we'll go from there. Catherine?
Thank you. I want to just first of all compliment you for a very fluid and an extremely clear presentation, probably about the best I've seen throughout the NPVC competition. But what I really was missing, it wasn't even on my list of questions to ask you, but what is your technology, and talk about your IP. And then I have a bunch of questions about how much capital is going to take to get to production, but you have some of that in your financials. So let's start with this, please.
Okay, let me just jump into how it works. This is what the technology is. It's a polymer film that coats the donor plate. The donor plate is sticky, and it picks up the components. It places them over the substrate, and then it's activated with deep UV ultraviolet radiation, which is basically light in the UV range. That causes the polymer to decompose and compel the components onto the substrate. I can give you a quick, here's our, let's see if this works.
What we have is a process for placing microelectronic components onto whatever substrate is appropriate on the electronic substrate.
Yeah, it's hard to hear. Wayne.
Components onto a polymer-coated glass plate and putting that plate in close proximity.
Can't hear the video, Wayne. Can't hear the video.
Yeah, this is tough. Basically, the explanation, I think, worked, by the way.
And gentle heating, the polymer is vaporized, and that pushes the component onto the substrate. We have several patents on the process.
All right. Catherine, you want to do a follow-up question? And if it's one question, another follow-up, and then we'll go on to the other questions.
Thank you. So what I want to know is what the micro LED adoption curve, manufacturing adoption curve will look like. And if they have POC designs today, what comes next?
Yeah, so the adoption curve is actually pretty aggressive. It starts out with some of the smaller display sizes, like the Apple Watch is going to be one of the first displays that has micro LEDs. Micro LEDs could be introduced on the Apple Watch as early as next year. And after that, augmented and virtual reality will benefit from micro LEDs because you can build a transparent display. So that's the second approach. Companies like Samsung and LG are investing in micro LEDs for large screen televisions. When you fabricate OLED televisions, you need to build a tool the same size as the display. So an 88-inch television needs an 88-inch manufacturing tool. With micro LEDs, they do it with tiles, and you can build a display to literally any size, even movie screen size. So that will be the next step, and that will be really where you see it becoming a major commercial force. Probably around 2025 is when those will start to really take off.
All right.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you finished the answer. I'm sorry, Wayne.
Yeah, I was just going to add that that in terms of where the companies are, everybody is using micro LEDs in the lab today and building pilot lines. So that's happening now. Our material is actually under evaluation at LG, and they have successfully transferred 5 micron, which is the same size as a red blood cell. They transferred an array of 5 micron micro LEDs to our substrate and successfully transferred them. So that's an example of just how far along this technology already is. It does take a while to commercialize it, but the main display companies are already well ahead of the curve there.
What's a while to commercialize mean? How many years are we talking about?
I think the big challenge will be tooling up the assembly lines, and then the second challenge will be getting to cost parity with OLED. So even if you have a superior technology, well, you can actually buy a micro LED television today if you have $56,000 to spare. It's pretty much a hand-assembled machine. So you really need to get to parity with OLED, and OLED continues to ride the cost curve down. That's why it'll be probably 2025, 2026 before you see parity.
Thank you.
We have a lot of
add, 50% of the cost.
Turn on your camera so we can see you. That would be useful. One question that came up is you have a lot of patents, but some of the patents have expired for lack of payment or for limited term life. What's the story on the patents?
So we actually abandoned several of the patents because we didn't consider them core, and maintaining the patents was just a drag on, it would have been a financial drag that didn't make sense. Jana is incredibly prolific. As you saw, she has over 50 patents. A lot of the patents that she had developed previously were for processes, frankly, that don't play into our core technology.
That's fine. All right, I'm going to go to Barbara, Dan, and then Robert Stacy. Barbara?
Yeah, so I agree with Catherine. It's a terrific presentation, very smart. So it sounds like the entire play here is an M&A play, right? So you're now playing with all of the big players like Samsung, and that you hope that will be maybe the due diligence lead on this round. And could you just talk about, is there any, you have $3,000 in revenue this year. What have you done? I mean, what is the use case? And are you building on that use case, or are you building to attract your next, the buyout?
So if I understand the question, what is the use case for our product?
Yeah, I mean, so it sounds like you were going after Samsung as a lead investor, and ultimately they'll take you out, right? You said that that's kind of the play. That seems like where we're going, which is understandable because it's going to take a lot of dough to make this rock and roll. So can you just tell us so how are you tailoring your use case to attract the ultimate buyer?
I understand. So the way we've structured the value proposition and use case for the company is our polymer is actually a consumable in the manufacturing process. So just like in circuit board assembly, the photoresist is a chemical consumable. It's used in the process and then it's replenished. It's great for us because it's not capital intensive. We synthesize the polymer and we'll sell it through a typical chemical supply chain. And the tool partner will build the tool that uses the chemical. So that's the use case. The nice thing about that is it's also a recurring source of revenue. It's not a one-time sale. The polymer will be something that's continuously purchased and consumed. So that's our use model. The other interesting thing about that approach is that we've also attracted the interest of chemical companies who'd also like to play in this space. So companies like Sumitomo Chemical, Hitachi Chemical, Showa Denko, Dow, they're all interested in somehow participating in this next generation of displays, and this is one way they could do it.
All right, shorter, if we can get shorter answers, maybe, because we've got a lot more questions. Dan, then Robert, and then I'll go to Howard. Dan?
So my question is very similar to the last, but in point of view. How do you make money? I assume you're going to have these chemicals made by some outsourced chemical company, and then are you charging a royalty on it, and how much do you expect to get?
So we make money three ways. We actually will manufacture the chemicals ourselves. It's a 6-step process, but it's not too complicated, and it has very high margins. So the margins in chemical production are very similar to what you see in the software industry. So we'll be in the chemical business ourselves. We also will selectively license it, and we also have patents that cover the method patents and use patents that we can license as well to the manufacturers, the tool manufacturers.
All right, I'm going to go to Robert and then Howard, and then if we have time, we'll do Max.
Wayne, excellent presentation. You're in good company with me because I ran a printed circuit board shop going back 45 years ago when the technology was very young. And I spent most of my last 30 years in integrated circuits, so I understand what you're doing. I have no questions in that space, but I would love to chat with you offline.
All right, we're going to go to Howard and then.
Whoa! I didn't ask my question yet, Dave.
So I got to do it quickly then.
Right. So my question basically is, whenever I've talked to these large companies on this kind of process, they want to understand how you're going to be able to achieve Six Sigma quality. Can you give us a little bit of insight there?
Yeah, and that's actually one of our key advantages over all the competition. The Six Sigma quality is largely going to come from, in this kind of an application, comes from the ability to accurately position and place at sub-micron accuracy. The tool partners that we'll be working with, companies like Applied Materials and Lam Research, already have tools that are capable of that precision, and they're already used to working in that space. So we leverage not just their learning curve of building Six Sigma level quality, but we also leverage their channel to get to the end customer. And again, we'll be providing a material and we'll be co-developing the process along with them. The competitors are all building new tools, so they're just at the start of their learning curve. And for them to get to Six Sigma is going to take considerable effort.
Thank you.
All right, Howard, you may have the last question, or if we have time, we'll do Max.
All right, can you all hear?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, hi again, Wayne. Excellent presentation, which is exactly what I would have expected. The question is, it seems to me that this process is going to be very, very sensitive to the uniformity of the layer of the chemical materials on the donor plate. And I'm wondering how are you planning to manufacture the material? And is there existing equipment in the semiconductor industry that can actually spread the material on the donor plates to the absolute level of accuracy that it has to be? Or do you have to invent a way for the chemical manufacturer to deposit it on donor plates and sell it with the material already deposited? That's the question.
So I'll just give you, I'll try to give a short answer to that. That's a long answer question. We are talking to a company called Yield Engineering Systems that is in the coating business. They make front-end semiconductor tools that do coating. As you probably know, the semiconductor industry does a lot of coating. They make tools that also do vacuum heating and various other parts of the front-end process and back-end process. So partnering with someone like that gives us access to very fine granular control. We only need 1 micron layer of polymer, and uniformity, as you pointed out, is important. So we do measure that. I don't know if that answered the question. Yield Engineering also has KCK as a yield and as a core investor and board member. So they're also watching closely what we're doing. Quite a bit of interest in this space.
I guess what I'm wondering is how does the follow up real quick, how does the thickness control, like how does the variance in thickness that this will tolerate compared to the variance in thickness of layering on a photoresist on them?
Yeah, we need plus or minus 3%. And we control the process to plus or minus 1%.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, but we're unfortunately out of time.
We are out of time. Thank you, David. Thanks, Wayne. A great presentation. We will move on to the last presenter, which is Stephen, and this is with Trubify.
And if you can, please fill out your
evaluation. Yes. Yeah, please evaluate the company meanwhile while Stephen is preparing his screen. Stephen, you can go ahead and share your screen whenever you're ready.
Great, thank you. Nice to see everyone. I see a lot of friendly, familiar faces. Also, can we promote Brian as well? Brian will be tag teaming some of the Q&A stuff, and he may jump in on a few points.
No problem. That decreases evaluation by 1 million.
I guess I could raise the valuation and we could shoulder it. All right. Do we have Brian with us too here?
Yeah, he's here.
I'm here. Awesome. And I assume everyone can see my screen and hear me okay?
We can.
Great. Shall I begin?
Yeah,
please go ahead whenever you're ready.
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot, JJ and Pismo team. This has been really great to work with you guys, and we're actually very, very honored to be here. I have to tell you, all the companies that I've heard in this finals are absolutely impressive, very, very impressed with the founders and the business models and the product. So we're in good company, I think. My name is Stephen Tishka. I am founder and CEO of Trubify, an award-winning disruptive music technology platform. I've been a musician my whole life. In fact, I come from a family of musical virtuosos. My auntie was the voice of Snow White from the Walt Disney classic. I moved to Hollywood in 1996 as a session guitarist, became a Motown recording artist, opened a premier recording studio off of Sunset, scaled that to $1 million in revenue, sold that to Kings of Leon, 4-time Grammy Award winners. I've written, performed, produced on about 1,000 songs, working with many celebrities and Grammy Award winners, and I was still a starving artist. I started pursuing my second love, technology development, over the years, founding several innovative companies in fintech, ad tech, and micro-influencer spaces. Most notable being Blast.com with longtime partner Walter Cruttenden, founder of Acorns, the iBank of E-Trade, and Roth Capital. I also did a micro-influencer data tech, ad tech platform with former COO from Activision Blizzard, Paul Sams, and I did music.com with Mr. Pharrell Williams. So the problem is that most music artists cannot earn a living making music. So here's Troy Ritchie. He's from The Voice, season 7. And in fact, I produced his last record for him as well. Troy makes on average less than 0.1% per stream on YouTube. And that's only on the videos that he can monetize. So what Trubify has done is to create a solution, a live streaming music application that manages the business demands for artists automatically in the background of their lives. So using Troy Ritchie as our use case, Troy made about $1,400 last month working multiple platforms. But on Trubify, single platform, same time, same followers, same content, same energy, he makes over $6,000 a month. Let me explain how this works. So we have developed very innovative revenue streams that we've embedded within deep fan engagement features. We have per-view payouts, tips, ticketing, patronage, a unique influencer marketing embedded component, and a merchandise portal. And, whoops, sorry, I got my screen off there. And so what this means essentially is that it's an a la carte product offering. We have built this for all artists of all genres so that there's something for every musician. I think if we demonstrate the flow of funds, it helps to understand the business model. So we have two sides of revenue. We have fan-generated revenue, which is the tips, tickets, patronage, and e-com. We split that 70-30, 70% to the artist. And we have brand-generated revenue, which includes our Google AdSense ad integration. We pass 100% of that directly to the artist, and our proprietary influencer marketing component, which we'll get to. So is there a willingness to spend here? The answer is a resounding yes. Fans donated over $2 billion on the Patreon platform, a platform dedicated to content creators and artists, and brands spent an additional $8 billion on influencer marketing last year, a number going up 40% year over year, while brands spent an additional $24 billion on Google AdSense advertising, which we've integrated into the product. So we're playing in a super huge market here, as you know. Live music is severely impacted by COVID. Live streaming is growing exponentially, and yet the music industry is still seeing double-digit growth year over year. We're going to capture our share of the market. Less than 0.1% makes us wildly successful. And here's how we do that. We have a very simple and robust go-to-market strategy. We are currently onboarding 150 mid-tier music artists who collectively have 170 million loyal fans. So each artist is incentivized to convert their existing loyal fan bases into Trubify users because their income scales concurrently. So even using a humble couple percent, we anticipate millions of users within the first year. We are not leaving this up to chance either. We have a two-pronged approach to our artist acquisition, and of course the artists bring the fans. The top-down approach is being led by Ryan Sullivan, Professional Artist Relations Director. He's a music industry veteran who's put together a team of some of the best artist managers out there right now. We have Chandra Lynn, Sophie Ash, and Alex Rivas, who are acquiring our top-level artists. They are artist managers, and they work with Peter Gabriel, Sting, LeBron James, Beyonce, Chloe and Halle, and Lauryn Hill, just to name a few. Our bottom-up approach is being led by Sami Khan, the growth expert from Acorns and Honey. And I've known Sami for many, many years, and we've used him for multiple companies that we've built. As you know, Acorns probably, some of you may know, Acorns has 8 million monthly paying subscribers today, and Honey was acquired by PayPal last year for $4 billion. So we certainly do know how to acquire customers. In the last several weeks, we've already had 2,500 mid-tier artists fill out an extensive application, which they have to list their social media links, their followings, their content, and we review that, and from that, we pick the best artists. Currently, we have about 1,000 beta users on the platform. And I think this is one of the most exciting slides. So we ran our first scheduled event on October 21st, and we wanted to see some early adopter analytics to prove out some of our assumptions. And what we found was that the share feature that we built truly does drive viral engagement. So with a single tap, artists can share that they're going live to their social media sites, to LinkedIn, through a text message or an email or any way. Well, what I did is I went onto my Facebook, which I actually haven't used in 4 years. If you go look at my Facebook, I sent out a message the day before saying, hey, I'm going live tomorrow. Hope you guys can join me on this app called Trubify. And then the next day at 4 p.m. when I went live, I shared it to Facebook and I said, hey, I'm live on this app Trubify. Click here if you want to check it out. Well, that day we had 26% of our user base attend my stream. At the time we had about 900 beta users and we had almost 250 attendees. And that represented 138% uplift in our active users week over week, and 109% week over week uplift in our new users. So we're absolutely confident that our share feature does drive viral engagement. This is really exciting for us. We also have very high retention because there's extreme loyalty between fans and artists. As you guys know, you're probably still following the same artist you were many years ago. And of course, fans always follow more than one artist. So there's always a reason to stay on Trubify. We have all the features our competitors have, but we've built several unique differentiators, including our end-to-end concierge service, which we've been talking about, which includes we obtain all the cover song licenses and manage the royalty payments on behalf of the artist. The reason this is so significant is no one is doing this, not YouTube, not Twitch, not Facebook. This is a unique opportunity for Trubify. We also have the highest industry payouts that are sustainably fundable thanks to our Google AdSense ad integration. We've created significant improvements in fan engagement with the Trubify red carpet experience, including the backstage pass, which allows fans access into private exclusive content with the artist that the artist can price for a monthly subscription to their channel. And we have a really unique proprietary AI ML influencer marketing component. So this is proven automated technology that I developed at the last company that I co-founded with former COO from Blizzard Activision, Paul Sams. What we did is we developed a technology that can scrape a screen, identify products, brands, and logos on that stream. We take a proprietary Trubify algorithm, we look at the user viewership demographic data, the engagement data, and that artist's product and brands. We're able to validate those campaigns at scale and then drive ROI and VOI using this business intelligence. The brands are absolutely over the moon about this technology. That's why we've already been able to lock in several committed brands from Moog, the largest synthesizer company in the world, Kali Ukulele, Cleartone Strings, and we're about to lock up Sony, GoPro, Fender, and many other great brands. The technology is commercially available today on the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. We're built on AWS, Amazon Web Server Premium servers, and Blue Lava Security Group is overseeing our cybersecurity. Also, I think it's worth noting that this product shot that you're looking at, as well as all product shots throughout this deck, are actual live shots of the app as it's available today in the App Store. Our intellectual property portfolio is being overseen and managed by Wilson Sonsini. We have 3 patents in process, including a picture-in-picture seamless influencer shopping experience and other technology that automatically improves the audio quality for live stream performers. We have 9 more patents that we have identified. Our unit economics back out beautifully with a 4-to-1 LTV to CAC, putting us right in the sweet spot for rapid user and revenue growth, driving us to profitability. We can look into the Q&A if anyone wants a deeper dive here. We're seeking $3.8 million in seed funding. $1 million of that has been subscribed and funded. The use of funds is primarily to execute our robust go-to-market strategy, which we're ready for. We also have several feature enhancements that'll be rolling out over the next several quarters. Our exit strategy. So we are teeing this up for an acquisition by one of the big players here, Google, Apple, Sony, Amazon. In fact, these are players that are actively and currently seeking to expand their music offerings, and with the surge of live streaming, the opportunity could not be bigger. The management and founding team are serial entrepreneurs and innovators, having founded companies in fintech, influencer marketing, and music companies, successfully leading them, as well as our engineering team who wins awards year after year. Our all-star advisory board is unfairly stacked with experts from industries represented in every piece that our business touches, from Michael Goldwasser, who produces Jason Mraz and Kelly Clarkson, to Sami Khan, who is the growth expert from Acorns Honey, Dave, Root, Zebra, and more, to Jason Young, live streaming guru from Apple, Netflix, YouTube, and ABC. So why invest in Trubify and why now? Well, first of all, we were so blessed to win the People's Choice Award at the Technology Innovation Forum this year for best startup in SoCal. We have 5 other reasons that we know now is the time. One is our outstanding LTV to CAC at 4-to-1, putting us right in the sweet spot for profitability. We have a robust growth strategy, which guarantees network effect and high retention. Trubify is solving real problems for the artists, the record labels, the publishers, the fans, and the brands. We're cash flow positive in Q3 2021 as per our projections, and the app is commercially available today, thus by removing much of the risk from early stage investors. Thank you so much. My name is Stephen Tishka, founder of Trubify.
Hey, really good. You went over by 2 seconds. Great. Now you'll have 12 minutes to do answers to the questions. Please put your questions in the chat box and we'll go through them. We go to chat and start picking these up. 1 sec. We're going to go to Howard first, and then Jay Cunin, and then Jeff
Stephen?
Koenig.
Yes.
Okay.
Go
Stephen,
ahead,
it's good to see you again.
Nice to see you, Howard.
Question is, you've been out talking to people raising money for, a while. And what lessons have you learned that have caused that? What changes have you made that are significant in this process from where you started like 2 months ago? What was the main change you made? Or
Yeah, thank you, Howard. I think that's a good question. One of the biggest things is, if I'm being frank, and maybe I'm exposing a little too much here, but I want to be honest. We came out of the gate thinking, we come from a great pedigree, the Cruttenden, organizations, Pharrell Williams and this and that, Paul Sam's Blizzard. We thought it was going to be kind of a slam dunk. We were going to go in there with our, our backgrounds, our accolades, and everyone would just be so happy to throw money at us. And it just doesn't work that way. We've had to really hit the pavement. We never didn't work hard, but what we've done is we took a step back and we really, really thought deeply about our business, our approach, our strategic partnerships. Instead of just going to everyone under the sun, we focused in on a couple of VCs and a couple of angel investors who we think had a lot of strategic value. In fact, of the $1 million that's in, 400,000 came personally from my pocket and my partner, and the rest was from strategics inside of the music industry. So the biggest thing we learned is it's not great to just take everyone's money. It's much better to take good strategic money.
And if I can add to that as well, we've been working with a lot of very smart people who have been in this realm, in the startup and venture realm for a long time. And so as we've been working with them, the team is very agile and nimble, and we've been able to pivot, not necessarily pivot, but make adjustments and adjust some of our operations when people will bring up great points and great feedback and great input, and we're able to incorporate that in our go forward and operating process. So
I do want to add one quick point on that, and that's for any of the other companies that are still on the call that may not have explored this route. Definitely utilize all the resources you have, like Octane, Launchpad, other accelerators, Y Combinator, different people. I've used a bunch of them, and I have to tell you, I have learned so much from working with people like The Cove, JC Ruffalo from Octane, et cetera. So please do explore those accelerators. They'll help you guys tremendously.
Get back down to questions relating to you, but thank you for the input. Sure, I know it's useful. We're going to go to Jeff and then Gerard. Jay first. Sorry, Jay, do you want to ask a question?
Yeah, I do. So that was a very fast-paced presentation. I thought I had my system on 1.5x or something. I'm one of the people that's not in your expert strategic area. So I know nothing about the economics of the music business. So maybe you can explain to me very simply. You started out saying you're getting the artists significantly more money than they get today. So that means either you're increasing the customer base, or you're taking some revenue away from some other players in the ecosystem, or both. Could you explain simply?
You bet. So there's two main aspects to why we're able to give our customers better monetization streams than anywhere else. One is, again, that very unique differentiator that we obtain the cover song licenses and pay the royalties on behalf of the artist. So I need to explain this because this is critical to understand. The reason other companies don't do this, the companies, these publishing companies take a large portion of the top line revenues off of everything that comes in, and it's how they work. That is why artists cannot monetize cover songs on YouTube. That is why artists cannot monetize cover songs on Twitch, and they're getting deplatformed, they're getting banned. That's why, as of October 1st, Facebook announced they are aggressively policing and removing any cover song content from their posts, because they need to have the cover song licenses to post those. They cannot monetize those without those. Artists don't do it, they don't have them, and the platforms don't do it. Shopify does that on behalf of the artists. So that's the first key component. That's why they can monetize their cover song content. As you know, probably, it's completely demonetized from YouTube. We have friends in our circle that have 4 million YouTube followers. They produce a cover song, it gets 3 million views in a month, they make zero. Then they do an original song and it gets 10,000 views and they make a couple $100. They can't monetize. The second reason is our embedded influencer marketing component, that really exciting innovation in the influencer marketing piece. No one has embedded pieces like this where they're working with the small micro influencers. Everyone wants to use large influencers because they can track and validate those campaigns at scale. These brands cannot work with 1,000 micro influencers and track and validate those campaigns. Shopify has built integrated technology that automatically does that, so that every one of these brands can work with anyone from someone who has 10 followers to 1 million followers. And why that's so significant is that the smaller your following size, the greater the reach and conversion on that influence. So that is a proven mechanic that Instagram did a study of 100,000 influencers. The smaller the size, the greater the reach and impact, because you probably are closer to these people, you know these people, it's a smaller following. Once you get up into the 100,000 plus followers, you're so far removed from your following that it's just not as impactful. These are proven mechanics.
Shorter answers. We got a lot more questions, please. I'm going to go to Jeff Koenig and then Gerard and then Phil.
Great, thank you. Let me try to simplify it further. Yeah, I understand that you're trying to do something to help the artists, and you're committed to that. And I understand that you're excited about the technology, but the money comes from the consumers. What is their experience? Why are they going to pay more for content and experiences? You talked the least about the consumers.
So the majority of the money comes from the brands, not the consumers. But we can certainly talk about the fan-based, the fan-generated revenue. Brian, do you want to jump in on some of this on
Sure.
the fan-based side?
So we are building engagement features that artists will be able to leverage to actually incentivize the fans to tip them more or purchase more tickets. So we're building some gamification features. We're building leaderboards where you can show up as a #1 fan of an artist. So there are a lot of engagement features that will motivate fans to contribute funds.
Part of that is our backstage pass that we talked about, which is exclusive access, access to exclusive content, as well as some of our other features that we probably don't have time to get into.
All right, I'm going to go to Gerard and then Phil, and then I'll go online. Gerard?
Hi there, I have a question about your network effect. When I'm a consumer watching TV and I go to Netflix or Prime Video and I watch something, the next time I go there, it says these are the 6 things that you might be interested in. Do you have something comparable for your artists so that I, as a user coming in who like a particular kind of sound, would get a referral to other people in my genre?
Yes. So we have some third-party recommendation engines that we're using that eventually will build out our own, which will add valuation to the company as well. But yes, and that's the short answer. I could get a little deeper, but
that's fine.
All right, Phil. Phil Gill. All right. Well, let me ask this one while we wait for Phil. Tell me about competition. Who do you see as your biggest competitor and why?
Brian, I don't know if you want to take that or if you'd prefer me to take it.
You can go ahead and take this one. I think you've done a deeper dive on the competitors.
So there's about 20 new entrants that are coming up. None of them are doing anything like what we're doing. There's something like a Moment House, which sells tickets to only live stream events, working only with top tier artists. So the smaller the mid-tier artists can't do it. They can't save their performances in an archive to be viewed later. There are companies that provide merchandise portals. There's companies that provide patronage pieces. There's not a single product in the market that provides live streaming, with a savable archive, which requires synchronization licenses from the music publishers, which we've obtained, which was one of our strong differentiators as discussed. People like YouTube, you can't monetize. Twitch, they're banning users for posting cover songs. Facebook is deleting content. So everything from the big players that have a different product offering with some of the pieces to the players that are directly in live streaming, no one is touching all the spaces that we are in an integrated way.
All right. How are you handling DRM within the platform?
Sorry, how are we? I didn't hear what you said.
How are you handling DRM, digital rights management, within your platform?
So we do have a system that right now it is going to be a manual process to validate the content. So the name of the song, the artist. We are moving to an automated process next year. And basically we will report licensing for any of the songs that we have licenses for, which are about 98% of all copyrighted music. And then anything else we will work with the artist to remove after the initial performance.
Okay, Phil, I see you back online. Do you want to ask a question?
You know, I got two quick ones. What's the valuation? I didn't hear that.
Oh, sorry. The valuation is 9.6 million pre.
And so if I go on this app, do I pay anything?
You do not. It is free
Other
to
than
use.
tips?
It is free to use.
Say that again. Can't hear you.
The app is 100% free to use.
100% free to use. Okay.
Both for artists and for fans.
Got it. All right. Question online from Matt Kelleher. Isn't Patreon the first mover, and what advantage do you have over them? Or why can't they do what you're doing?
It's a very limited product offering. It is a Patreon. It's a patron platform. They don't let you to post cover songs. You can't archive materials of that. There's no live streaming as far as I know. I don't think there is. We have several features. There's no influencer marketing on Patreon. The product offering is so vastly different. Again, Patreon is a platform for people to patronize artists. It doesn't have 6 or 7 embedded revenue streams.
Okay.
It doesn't make deals with the brands on behalf of the artists.
All right. So you're raising $3.8 million for a company that's just launched. That seems to be a lot. Would you consider raising less and maybe lower the valuation?
Yes.
How long will the $3.8 million last you?
So one, the price, we are open to negotiating. We understand with the investor climate of the way the world is today, we're open. And Brian, if you want to take the second part of that question.
How long will your $3.8 million last? And will you buy that Lamborghini you always wanted?
It's actually a DB5, but yes, we are projecting that we will hit cash flow neutral or cash flow positive with that amount of money.
Got it. All right, we're out of time, JJ, according to my schedule, my clock.
Thank you. Any feedback for Brian or Stephen? Anyone?
Talking, but I don't hear anything.
All right.
Hi, this is Kathy Chu. Did I unmute myself?
Yeah, go ahead.
Kathy, I can hear you.
I'm just going to say that 3.8 million raise is a big raise for a company that's just launching. My recommendation, frankly, is to raise less, lower the valuation so that you become more user accessible, and maybe lower the barrier, get the money, get launched, and then we'll see what happens.
All right.
Yeah,
no need to comment, Stephen. This is just comments one way.
I would second, David. I just would second that.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Ron put up thumbs and a pinky. We have some other thumbs and other parts of bodies that are also suggesting the same thing. Any other comments?
I'm going to say also that a company that TCA is about to invest in, they're making the same mistake you're making now, but they changed it, and then because they changed their valuation and their raise, yeah, we talked about that, Ken, earlier today. We're investing in them, otherwise we wouldn't have. So tranche it up. Yep.
You're saying
can I just
a bunch of guys and girls, right? Yeah.
Can I just also say, Stephen, that I was very impressed with your passion, but also how thoroughly you thought about your market and how you can win with your customers. So you've considered lots of different angles. I appreciate really all of that kind of stuff. So if at the end of the day, if it comes down to a set of terms and what you raise, that might be a very simple fix.
Very simple fix.
Agreed. And we're open.
All right. Anyone else? All right. Going once, twice, 3 times. It is all gone. All right. So
one of the things that would be just a quick comment. I would love to be able to pay for the opportunity, if I like the artist, to be able to put together my own plan, my own kind of combination. And if you can do that, because I do that on YouTube right now, and it's driving me nuts because there's no integrated platform. But if you can do that, I would be willing to pay $9.95, $19.95, depending on the songs.
Exactly. Awesome. Exactly.
But I won't pay $3.8 million right now. So I'm going back to Catherine's comment.
I was 2 seconds late, so it's actually 3.75 now.
All right, last comment from Gerard. Go ahead, Gerard.
Yeah, just there's overlap here, but I think the Cove Fund could be your deal lead, and certainly Tech Coast Angels can syndicate with them on pricing. But I think you have people to work with to get you to a number that will make this work. But let the Cove Fund lead, would be my suggestion. They have more money.
We're aligned.
All right. Well, thank you very much,
Gerard's
Stephen.
part of it.
Yeah. Thanks, Stephen. Thanks, Brian. So we're going to take a little bit of time for the judges to kind of huddle. So please, all attendees or presenters, please jump off. And if you don't, I will kick you off. So go ahead, do it slowly.
It's Despacito is Do It Slowly, just to let you know. Good song.
Just to make sure I heard that right, JJ, you said I should leave the call, right?
Leave the call completely. Yes, thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hey, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, Stephen.
Bye.
All attendees as well. Thank you. All right. 5 left, 4 left, 3.
Did you do the scoring? Can you see what the numbers are?
I will look in a second. There's 3 left. Attendees, please leave for a discussion between judges. Okay, there's 2 left. I will kick them out.
Don't throw Catherine out.
No, not Catherine.
I'm only kidding.
There we go.
All right, so everyone's out. Okay, what do you guys think? What's your number 1 pick?
Still like Terra Circuits.
Mine. Hesitant.
Terra Circuits.
Terra Circuits.
Terra Circuits. Absolutely Terra Circuits.
Terra Circuits.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Just for fun, I'll give you a top. I'll give you a top 3
today. They did a really good job.
I think Terra Circuits, Trubify, and Passion Footwear are my 3 favorites overall.
Agree with you, Ken.
I'd go with that as well, Ken.
Passion's number 2.
Just for today, you mean?
For
or
me,
overall?
but yeah, I think that some people might have the actual.
Today.
For me, I have.
I would
that's
like
my
to
top
put
3
in
over the 2 days.
I would like to put in a word for Trubify, not over as number 1. Not that Terra Circuits isn't outstanding, but only for one reason. It's going to take Terra Circuits longer, I think, to pay off than Trubify is a faster win.
And I think he did a better job of explaining it today than he did in the past. But the valuation has to come down.
No question.
Yeah, and the raise too. And the raise.
And the raise, yeah.
We've been working on that. We've been advising him the same thing, but there are various reasons why I'm not going to say he's right, but I understand sort of where he's coming from. But we have been
judging
Howard, so I think it's gonna start. He's gonna start hearing this now from multiple ears.
Yeah.
What do you
our
think?
judging.
Howard, was that a comment on coachability?
No, he's very coachable.
I found that too, speaking of independently.
If
All
our,
right.
our JJ,
Go ahead, Don. Go ahead, Don.
if our criteria is on potential, that's certainly one thing. But if our judging criteria is meeting the different parameters that were set on the scoring card that we did, that's why I leaned to Terra Circuits, because I think they met that and met it very effectively. And what we're saying about Trubify is really good presentation, wonderful potential, this good, that good, but you need to change this, need to change that, modify. So again, I think we need to understand if we're voting based on where we think the company is going to do the best, is going to be where our money would be best served in 6 months or in a year. That's one thing. If our vote is based on presentation of the rubrics you gave us, then to me at least, it's Terra Circuits.
Go ahead, Barbara.
So I totally agree with Don. Maybe one of the criteria or one of the attributes that we could rank is valuation in 3 years, right? Like how quickly, how big is this payoff? The payoff at Terra Circuits seems so much larger than anything else we've seen. I mean, and by the way, the other issue here is we are relying on subject matter expertise. I don't know if anyone on this call, we feel good about passion because we kind of sort of can figure it out. But the other ones are really hard. It hurts your brain unless you're a SME. And you know, those two things triangulate. And I'm going to guess that Terra Circuits is the win. It's just such a big opportunity.
JJ?
Yeah, very interesting. Go ahead.
Adding to what Don and Barbara said, Terra Circuits, first of all, is writing the new technology. So if any of us were to take a look at the previous technologies in terms of the adoption curve, each one has been higher and over a shorter time frame than the prior technology. Secondly, let's assume for a minute that they didn't have any competition. Everybody's going to be coming to them. And third is the volume has gone up on displays. Everybody has a display today, whereas 10 years ago, that wasn't the case. So all of that bodes well for Terra Circuits.
Yep.
So you know what, Gerard emailed me yesterday or the day before, and he proposed a question to ask. So we're going to send a poll out to everyone today or tomorrow. And Gerard suggested to add to the poll one more question, and I agree with him. And the question is, would you invest in this company based on today's valuation and their presentation? And I think that could be maybe what we're trying to talk about today. So based on what, based on Terra Circuit, what they presented and their valuation, or based on Trubify and their valuation, which one would you invest in today? If that
Can
was
you
the
add a
case.
question also asking if we would invest, given a potential adjustment in valuation? Because I just think that would be interesting information for us to have, even if it's not, if we don't share it or include that towards the winner,
Okay, all right. So if something were to change, would you invest? Something like that. Doesn't have to be
Yeah, so
specific.
JJ, if I may, I think it's a parallel question, which would be,
Yeah, it is.
if it's not your number one on the criteria that I've laid out, which is investable today on the proposed valuation, the next question would be, if somebody changed their valuation, which one would you make number one? That would be the way to sort of juxtapose.
That's an interesting one. Okay.
And it's interesting. I would keep my ratings the same, because I think the uptick on Terra Circuits is larger, but it would make me more comfortable investing in Trubify.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, there you go. That's gonna answer some questions. All right.
JJ, just adding one comment on Terra Circuits, and I'm a huge fan of them, and I've invested in them. But we also, from a risk management perspective, have to understand that we are betting on two people.
Yeah,
the company is very thin, and that brings a high risk level.
For a $20 million valuation.
Yeah.
What's the CEO's background? I heard him say he built 2 new industries, companies, and had billion-dollar exits.
Yes.
He has. He's been a TCA member for 11, 12 years. You know, very accomplished. And yeah,
he created Seagate consumer hard drive.
Right. Outstanding guy. Outstanding technologically, outstanding management-wise. There's no question.
And what I really liked was that.
Wait, John Harbison, you got interrupted. Go back and let John finish because he was giving you some specifics about Wayne.
He was the technology guy behind the Seagate introduction of external hard drives, which was one of his early things that he was involved in.
Technically or from a market point of view, do you know?
Well, if you look on the terror circuits, it has his.
I think he ran the business unit.
Yeah.
Yes. He was the general manager of the whole business unit. Built it up into a $2 billion a year revenue.
Yeah, I was.
And I was at Western Digital at the time.
When he
did he beat you?
He got there first. In the end, Western Digital beat them, but it was only after Wayne left.
Fascinating.
His background says first commercially deployed gigabit serial interface fiber channel in the data center preceding and inspiring gigabit Ethernet, launched Seagate's consumer products division, making external USB attached hard drives available through retail.
So I took the liberty of talking to somebody in my network who is a CEO of a semiconductor. Shall we say they were targeting to be purchased by a semiconductor equipment manufacturer, and he said actually that he evaluated Terra Circuits in 2017. He believes their technology. He thinks that the retargeting in the market is good. He believes there is a chance that this technology will work. It's all a question of, you know, how much capital it will take, how fast the market adoption might happen. These are the questions that I asked. But fundamentally, the technology sounds like is reasonable. What I really liked was the fact